Vol. 2, Chapter 724, New Mystery. The prowess of Darth Plagueis was undeniable, and his apprentice, Darth Marthel, was acutely aware of this fact. Even Darth Sidious had to employ every trick in his arsenal to successfully assassinate Darth Plagueis. Considering Darth Marthel's relative inexperience, the odds were heavily stacked against him. This confrontation was a clear mismatch in terms of strength. Yet victory was imperative. Failure was not an option. It spelled certain doom. Darth Plagueis, what did you envision when you bestowed upon me the title of Sith? Surely it wasn't the fallen angel Malthael from Diablo. But why choose that name? What did you see in me? What did you feel? What lessons were you imparting? The answers lie within the Force. My superiority over you stems not from physical strength or speed, but from a deeper understanding of the Force's ways. In this cave, refining one's swordsmanship or exerting a greater force in combat against Darth Plagueis was futile. Both the Jedi and the Sith teach the Tao, the way of the Jedi, the way of the Sith, and ultimately, the way of the Force itself. The true quest lies in seeking answers, delving into a deeper understanding of the Force, and embracing a profound darkness. I am unafraid of death, for I have already become one with the darkness. Darth Plagueis on that day, within the endless currents of the Force, you beheld. Darth Marthel's expression twisted grotesquely as he spoke. Suddenly, a dark whirlwind erupted around him without warning. The whirlwind's power was so immense that it even swallowed the light from his lightsaber. Darth Pregston, standing before him, emitted a pitiful scream as his body began to disintegrate like wax, unable to resist his inevitable fate. In less than a minute, he was reduced to a skeleton adorned with countless markings, lying on the cave floor, as if untouched by the recent turmoil. The cave walls bore the scars of lightsaber strikes, and the ground showed signs of the tumultuous force that had swept through. Darth Marthel exhaled deeply, yet he did not sheath his lightsaber. His eyes gleamed with a hint of madness. Heh, yes, I have seen it too. You are the end. As he turned, he was confronted by a familiar figure, his own self before the transmigration. Clad in a Nike sweater and casual sneakers, with disheveled hair and a youthful face. However, the figure's expression was ominously dark, the smile at the corner of his mouth chilling, and dark power seemed to radiate from his being. Heh, exactly. I'm nearing the essence behind it all. Darth Marthel's face contorted as he spoke. Discarding his lightsaber, he stepped forward and grasped the neck of Tang Xiao before him. The dark side's force surged through Darth Marthel as Tang Xiao struggled to raise his head, his smile growing ever more sinister. Why did you give up? Darth Marthel remained silent, not resisting the force. Instead, he lowered all defenses and allowed himself to merge with the darkness. He found himself in a dark sea, caught in the pull of a dark vortex. You're dead, don't you realize? You're merely a puppet. Everything you thought you had, you never truly possessed. You are nothing but a pebble washed ashore in the vast ocean of time. You and I are the same. Qui-Gon Jinn stood at the cave's entrance, observing silently until a figure slowly emerged. He shook his head, his expression a mix of sighs and regrets. Darth Marthel staggered out, his body trembling, nearly collapsing to the ground. So you entered a cave, and inside, someone was roaring and screaming, slashing wildly with a lightsaber, and... Qui-Gon Jinn teased, observing Darth Marthel's disheveled appearance. Indeed, Marthel was a sight to behold, his body covered in scars and his movements sluggish, yet he had brought this upon himself. Glancing back at the cave's entrance, he noticed the dark side's force within had significantly weakened. With a slight smile, he responded, I'm not dead. Are you disappointed? I suppose I should feel fortunate. After all, had you perished inside, what emerged would have been a far stronger and nearly invincible madman, Qui-Gon Jinn remarked. At least you're correct about that, Darth Marthel said, his voice tinged with self-mockery. I can't even sense the fluctuations of your force right now. So, did you find the answer you were seeking? I haven't found all the answers. It seems new questions have arisen, Darth Marthel replied as he began to tidy his attire. He retrieved a new black cloak from a box beside him and draped it over his shoulders. Oh, that's intriguing. What's the question? Qui-Gon Jinn asked, his interest piqued. Darth Marthel gazed at the distant starry sky, his voice taking on a hint of nihilism. What did I see? What did I feel? What did I gain? I'm starting to dislike the way you speak, Qui-Gon Jinn huffed. Since you still have questions, why not venture back inside? He suggested. I haven't concealed anything from you, Darth Marthael replied, making his way toward where his Sith infiltrator had crashed. Hey, old man, will you help repair the spaceship? He asked. I'm under no obligation to assist a Sith Lord in repairing his spacecraft, Qui-Gon Jinn retorted. However, he floated over, adding, but repairing the communication equipment might still be feasible. What? Changed your mind? Darth Marthael inquired. I've come to think that allowing you to leave and confront Darth Sidious might actually be a wise decision, Qui-Gon Jinn said, pointing to the scattered parts and debris. That over there is the launcher. Remove it, clean it, then leave it out to dry. Next, we'll need to locate the hyperspace transmission device. Following Qui-Gon Jinn's instructions, Darth Marthael began to piece together the communication device. Vol 2 Chapter 725, return time flowed seamlessly as Tang Xiao and Qui-Gon Jinn engaged in endless conversations, and before they knew it, another day had passed. Suddenly, a spaceship descended from the sky. It was an all-black vessel with a ring at its tail, boasting an elegant and sophisticated design that clearly indicated its advanced nature. It was an Astro-class spaceship. Ah, my friend has arrived. It's time to say goodbye, Master Qui-Gon, Tang Xiao announced. You had already made arrangements. If that's the case, why did you insist on me helping you fix the communicator? Qui-Gon Jinn asked with a light chuckle. Because the originally agreed time was still a few days away. I didn't want to spend all day chatting with an old man like you, Tang Xiao replied with a faint smile. Qui-Gon Jinn shook his head. We probably won't meet again. When the war is nearing its end, Master Yoda will come here. If I'm still alive then, I'll visit again, Tang Xiao promised. What did you see in the cave? Why are you so certain? Qui-Gon Jinn frowned, puzzled. I found the answer, and even more mysteries. Anyway, goodbye, Tang Xiao said casually, waving his hand before stepping onto the spaceship that had landed. Kunte was waiting for him at the cabin door. It had been more than a year since they last saw each other. Kunte now sported a large beard and looked much older, yet his spirit was as vibrant as ever. What were you doing, talking and gesturing to thin air just now? Kunte asked with a smile. Can't you see? There was someone there, Tang Xiao half-joked. Heh, let's stop here. I didn't expect you to be so bold, venturing out alone even as the war broke out. Knowing the danger, I couldn't contact you for days, so I came looking for you, and here you are, Kunte said, touching his forehead. Tang Xiao stretched, patted Kunte's shoulder, and said, Sometimes people need to recharge so they can stay sharp, don't you think? I don't believe a word you've said, Kunte replied with a smirk. Ah, that makes me sad, Tang Xiao said, his expression exaggeratedly mournful. All right, great governor. I'll take you back to the Endor galaxy. Let's finish this war, Kunte waved his hand dismissively. I'm not going to the Endor galaxy. Take me to Narsada, Tang Xiao instructed. Why would you go to Narsada for no reason? Kunte inquired, puzzled. There is a reason. The hut, Tang Xiao explained before settling into his seat, reclining the backrest, and taking a nap. In hut space, on the moon of the smugglers, Narsada, the home planet of the Hutts, the black Astro-class frigate silently entered the planet's atmosphere. The countless towering spires that pierced the sky made Narsada, currently under cloudy weather, resemble a durian. This comparison was apt because among the many fruits produced by the Dawn planet, the Hutt people had a particular fondness for durians, with their rich and mellow taste. This preference brought the Dawn planet hundreds of millions of credits in foreign trade revenue from the durian trade each year. The Astro-class docked at one of the towers. After disembarking a single passenger, it took off and left without delay. Tang Xiao stood on the loading and unloading platform of the spaceport atop the tower, gazing at the sea of clouds below. He took out his communicator, and the holographic projection of the Fourth Civilization's Prime Minister, Francis Underwood, appeared. You're finally back, Governor, Francis Underwood greeted, straightening his suit. Nothing happened during the days I was away, right? Tang Xiao inquired. You've been gone for a total of 11 days. During this time, the borders of the area currently under the control of the Fourth Civilization have remained relatively calm. Admiral Matt Horner conducted a military deployment near the planet Terminus. However, the other side was very alert and immediately issued a warning that if our fleet continued to approach, they would respond accordingly. Francis Underwood reported, maintain his composure. Francis Underwood addressed the situation. We immediately accepted the Galactic Republic garrison. Besides, we've been actively dealing with the remnants of the Republic's 19th Army. What about the Confederation of Independent Systems? Inquired Tang Xiao. Count Dooku personally communicated his high appreciation for our previous military operations that led to the destruction of the 19th Army. He also expressed his hope that we could reinforce the defenses on the planet of Surust. The 18th Army of the Republic has intensified its military operations there, and their efforts have not been hindered by the severe injury of Governor Wilhoff Tarkin, Francis elaborated. Tang Xiao, with a cold tone, asked, "What about the planet Kronte?" Francis was taken aback but responded, "It was an unforeseen event." "There are no accidents. Explain why the Kronte planet was attacked," Tang Xiao demanded. Francis explained, "The Kronte planet housed an experimental facility established by Count Dooku after we provided him with the extractor's data. To ensure a substantial energy supply, an energy center was also set up on the nearby planet Irene. This project was a collaborative effort involving the Trade Federation's Fourth Group, the Technology Alliance, the Commercial Guild, and the Retail Industry Association, with Lieutenant General Cheng Shitao representing our interests. Unfortunately, the Confederation of Independent Systems did not prioritize this project as much as they should have, leaving Lieutenant General Cheng Shitao to oversee it." Tang Xiao nodded for Francis to continue. However, the project on Kronte faced delays, primarily due to an inadequate energy supply from Irene. Lieutenant General Cheng Shitao personally visited Irene to coordinate with Puller Baron, the Trade Federation's representative there. During his visit, a dilapidated Chaser-class battlecruiser launched a surprise attack, Francis recounted. "A dilapidated Hunter class?" Tang Xiao questioned, frowning. Yes, the Republic's insignia had been removed from the battleship, but the attackers were indeed clone troopers, albeit in worn battle armor. This force demonstrated exceptional combat skills, overwhelming our defenses. It was during this attack that Lieutenant General Cheng Shitao went missing. We later found him in the debris, severely injured. He is currently receiving medical treatment on Dawn, Francis reported. Tang Xiao's expression hardened. All planets involved in the extractor project were supposed to be highly confidential. How did the Republic find out about this? And why would a Republic battleship appear in Hutt space? His questions highlighted the gravity of the breach and the mysterious circumstances surrounding the Republic's unexpected assault. Vol 2, Chapter 726, Nisada's Disaster, Part 1. Francis Underwood was visibly uncomfortable as he spoke. "We've conducted an investigation and discovered that Puller Baron has been embezzling project funds for personal gain. To mitigate the financial shortfall, she resorted to dismantling the east wall to mend the west, employing a group of prisoners for labor. Their cost was significantly lower than hiring a legitimate workforce." "Did the news leak through these prisoners?" Darth Marthael's voice grew icier with each word. "Yes," Francis admitted, his head bowed. "I presume, as a consequence for this breach of confidentiality, the location housing these prisoners has been dealt with severely?" Darth Marthael's tone was chilling, a stark contrast to the joviality he had shared with Munte aboard the Astro-class frigate just minutes earlier. Munte, it seemed, was the only one who could still jest in his presence. Francis began to sweat profusely, dabbing his forehead with a hand towel. "I've instructed the intelligence department to identify the prisoners responsible for the leak." Before he could finish, Darth Marthael raised his hand, and with a terrifying display of dark force, he remotely seized Francis Underwood's neck from across the galaxy. Francis struggled in vain, his face turning a deep shade of purple from the lack of air. With a casual wave of his hand, Darth Marthael released him, and Francis collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. "Listen closely, Prime Minister. I am indifferent to whether the wrong individuals were punished or if there were other factors at play. The mere fact that my information was leaked is sufficient grounds for action. I can tolerate failure, but never stupidity, pity, or betrayal. Darth Marthael declared coldly, "Recite the creed of the fourth civilization." "I am the natural disaster," Francis managed to say. "Good. Now, where are these prisoners?" "They're on the planet Kosher. After rioting and killing Republic officials, they've declared autonomy. They're mercenaries, willing to do anything for money." "Then, issue the order in your name," Darth Marthael commanded. "Yes, as you command." "I'll explain how the fourth natural disaster operates," Darth Marthael concluded before abruptly ending the communication. He then proceeded to the tower's elevator, descending to the headquarters office of Titan Security. Mila Han, Wang Bin, Big Boss, and Tang Xiao were already gathered, evidently briefed and awaiting instructions. "How is the situation between Ghidorah and Jabba currently?" Darth Marthael inquired. "Based on the latest intelligence, their alliance, along with the Basadi and Dasiligic families, is nearly confirmed. From the Hutt's perspective, this partnership is seen as the most advantageous outcome," Wang Bin reported, adjusting his glasses. "Perhaps the Hutts have grown too complacent," Darth Marthael mused with a smirk. "Do they believe their fortunes will improve with the Galactic Republic's division and the ensuing civil war? Tatooine will remain under my control. Christopher Heath and his ilk won't have a chance." Did Alak Basadi really think forming an alliance with Jabba would allow him to renege on his promise to me? How amusing. "I've prepared a plan and await your command," Big Boss added, puffing on his cigar. Unlike the others, he remained unfazed by Darth Marthael's formidable presence. "In 10 years, we've established a strong foothold in Nasada. The time for action is now, depending on your strategy." "Alak Basadi Aura," Darth Marthael uttered the name with a cold resolve. He realized my influence within the Hutt territory was expanding and sought to halt my progress. Thus, he did not hesitate. To secure an alliance with the Dasiligic family, a long-standing adversary, was a strategic move that Jabba, understanding the benefits, would naturally not dismiss. Ghidorah, perceived as inconsequential, lacked the authority to make any significant decisions. However, under Ghidorah's leadership, the Basadi family has maintained a commendable reputation, Tang Xiao remarked with a hint of admiration. Currently, the Basadi family remains stable. Alak indeed possesses considerable skill. However, the same cannot be said for the Dasiligic family, Das Masail interjected. A year ago in Kip, Jabba's father, Zorba Dasiligic Theol, was apprehended and sentenced to 45 years in prison. Despite the Dasiligic family's vast wealth and influence, which could have easily facilitated his rescue, Jabba and his uncles, particularly Gileak Dasiligic, chose inaction, seemingly content with Zorba's fate. "Mirahan, the task falls to you to rescue Zorba," Das Masail stated, a sense of urgency in his voice. Mirahan responded with palpable excitement. "The planet Kip? It falls under the Republic's jurisdiction. To undertake a rescue, I'll undoubtedly need the support of a fleet. Matt Horner's A-Fleet hasn't been assigned any combat missions recently. With the addition of 10 new capital ships, they now have sufficient forces. You should coordinate with him directly," Das Masail suggested with a knowing smile. "Then, as for Zero the Hutt, I will locate her. And you, before we proceed with the operation, I have some matters to attend to on the planet Keshel. I plan to gather all the Kali people and then proceed," Das Masail continued. "Your thirst for vengeance is almost palpable," Big Boss remarked dryly. "That's correct. And now, I find myself famished." A golden gleam flickered in Das Masail's eyes once more. Francis Underwood warily made his way back to his mansion. Upon arriving, he headed straight for the bar, poured himself a generous glass of wine, and took a contemplative sip. Suddenly, a hand reached out and took the glass from him. Without needing to look, Francis knew it was his wife, Claire Underwood, as Perfume had informed him. Claire, too, took a sip of the wine, then glanced at the bruise on Francis' neck and inquired, "What happened? I was under the impression that only the Parliament of the Confederation of Independent Systems was prone to conflict. It appears that Planet Dawn is not without its own turmoil, is it?" Vol 2, Chapter 727, Respect for the Emperor. "Fight? So you took a vacation because of a fight?" Francis asked, his tone laced with incredulity. "Yes, at the parliamentary meeting yesterday, the Saroost faction members attempted to assault Shumai, the chairman of the business guild, which escalated into a brawl. Roughly 30 members were involved, so I seized the opportunity to take a break and come home, Claire Underwood explained. For what reason? The 18th Army of the Republic is laying siege to the planet Surust, and the Commercial Guild is hesitant to send additional troops for reinforcement. Their reluctance stems from the substantial losses they've already suffered with the 18th Army. It sounds like an opportunity for us. Why are you still so preoccupied with state affairs when someone assaulted your prime minister? Francis touched the bruise on his neck, his expression complex. Tang Xiao. He actually strangled you? Frank, what happened between you two? I can only imagine you two wrestling and choking each other, Claire said, puzzled. 13 years ago, he was just a young man when he sought my help. He shared a lot with me and made many promises. Francis took the glass from Claire, took a sip, and continued. I can sense his fear of me, even terror, and rightly so, because the task he's setting before me is on a stage far grander than Dawn Planet, the Galactic Republic, the Parliament building. He set down the wine glass, exhaling deeply. Just a word from me in the Republic Congress could doom Dawn Planet. His naive acts back then are still vivid in my memory. He's changed now, at least he dares to strike you, Claire noted with a smile. Strike me? You've been away from Dawn Planet for too long and haven't seen him recently. Now Francis's gaze deepened. I've just signed a decree concerning planet Keshel. Due to a leak on Kront Planet, we will soon identify the real perpetrator through necessary measures. We are authorized to accept any necessary losses to ensure the real culprit is brought to justice. Claire's expression turned fierce. That's practically an order for a massacre. Why did Tang Xiao have you sign it? He should bear the infamy for issuing such an order. Is that why you fought? If I were there, I swear I'd have hit him with a bottle. That's the point, Claire. He's not the person he used to be. At this juncture, every one of us, yes, every single one from the Fourth Civilization, must follow him into the uncertain, blood-stained path of fire and steel, Francis declared. I signed this order willingly. By the way, he didn't physically fight me. He was on Narsata Planet and merely sent a communication. Is he a Jedi Knight? Claire was astonished. A smile crept onto Francis Underwood's lips. He promised me the position of Prime Minister of the Empire. We're still far from that goal, but I'm more confident than ever that he will fulfill his promise. He raised his glass towards the window, to the Emperor of the Empire. With that, he drank the half-filled glass of wine. On the outer rim of the Milky Way lies the planet Koshal. This planet once housed over 10,000 prisoners and staff members. Following a rebellion where the prisoners overpowered the guards, claimed self-governance, and it eventually became a haven for smugglers. Currently, it's home to over 40,000 individuals, most of whom are involved in smuggling, bounty hunting, or mercenary work. The hyperspace channels surrounding this planet are complex, earning it the nickname Hell among pilots. Navigating a spacecraft smoothly through the Keshel Channel is considered a high honor, akin to drivers who successfully navigated the treacherous Sichuan-Tibet Highway in the past. Emerging from hyperspace with a burst of white light, a formidable black Hammerhead-class cruiser, accompanied by 4 Grey Horse-class aircraft carriers, made its sudden appearance on the outskirts of planet Keshel. Without any form of greeting, the hangar platforms of the Grey Horse-class carriers unfold, unleashing hundreds of half-moon-shaped Higra stealth fighter jets. These jets, having activated their stealth mode, darted towards every spacecraft orbiting the planet. Without a moment's warning, they opened fire, initiating an unprovoked assault. The Higra jets, now invisible to the naked eye, left the civilian and converted cargo ships defenseless, unable to even identify their attackers. It was a massacre, utterly one-sided. Following this initial onslaught, hundreds of ghost fighters descended into Keshel's atmosphere, embarking on a ruthless bombing campaign against the planet's residential areas. The pilots, indifferent to whether their targets were civilian homes or military barracks, obeyed a single directive: to strike at every potential hiding spot and any sign of movement. As a formation of ghost fighters executed a low-altitude, high-speed pass, their invisibility, only betrayed by a distortion in the air and the howling winds in their wake, a barrage of pulsed lasers rained down. The ground erupted in a series of explosions, soon followed by the launch of cluster rockets. Boom after boom resonated as a hastily constructed dwelling was engulfed in flames, ultimately collapsing. From beneath the rubble, a chorus of screams and pleas for help arose, a mix of voices, young and old, male and female, echoing the chaos. Yet, as the air twisted once more with the return of the ghost fighters, a second volley of pulsed lasers mercilessly targeted the source of the screams. Silence soon reclaimed the scene, broken only by the crackling of flames. In the midst of this devastation, every inhabitant holding a communicator received a simultaneous public frequency transmission. Among you, someone has betrayed the locations of the planets Aaron and Kront to the Galactic Republic. Surrender the traitor, and you shall live. As this message concluded, numerous transport planes began their descent towards the planet's major settlements. Perhaps you wonder why you must endure this unprovoked disaster, the message continued. The answer is simple. Some among you have committed acts you should not have, against individuals you should not have provoked. From the transport planes emerged scores of Kali people, heavily armed and clad in imposing security combat gear. The final message was chilling. I am the angel of death, the harbinger of your demise. Welcome to your end. Vol 2, Chapter 728, The Keshel Massacre. 2,000 Kali mercenaries disembarked from their transport ships, launching an assault on the planet Keshel. The prisoners on Keshel, known for their ferocity, quickly organized to mount a counterattack. However, they soon realized they had underestimated their opponents. The Kali mercenaries, despite their shabby cloaks, were formidable. Each was equipped with a long knife at their waist, a sniper rifle on their back, and a blaster rifle in hand. They moved with agility, spreading out upon entering the battlefield, rendering the defenders' firepower ineffective. As the defenders revealed their positions, the Kali snipers took them out one by one, systematically dismantling machine gun and bazooka emplacements. In the lulls that followed, the Kali pressed their advantage, continuing this cycle until they breached the defenders' lines. Switching to their long knives, the Kali's eyes, the only part of them visible beneath their turbans, gleamed with a bloodthirsty zeal. In close combat, they were unmatched, each a master swordsman, cutting down their enemies with ruthless efficiency. After decimating the defenders, they vanished into the chaotic streets of Keshel, moving like shadows, eliminating anyone armed they encountered. In the chaos, their mastery of stealth was evident. They were in their element. The Hammerhead-class cruiser Iron Fang, a medium-sized battleship captured from the pirate Iron Fang Kuken, had served as the flagship of the Fourth Civilization and was now under the command of Titan Security. The leader of Titan Security observed the massacre from the bridge of the Iron Fang, his expression cold. He had personally recruited the Kali mercenaries, most of whom were veterans of a war against the Yamrai. Despite their planet's struggling economy, these warriors had turned to mercenary work. The Kali had once achieved the unthinkable. A civilization armed with cold weapons had defeated one equipped with advanced interstellar technology. This victory was a testament to their unparalleled military prowess. Each Kali soldier was a master of various weapons and combat environments, making them the most fearsome warriors on any battlefield. Even the leader of Titan Security, known as Big Boss, could offer no improvement to their combat skills. His role was merely to unite them into an invincible army. The planet Keshel was primarily populated by soldiers, with over 10,000 participating in the counterattack despite heavy losses. Yet, the 2,000 Kali mercenaries dispatched by Titan Security managed to overcome this numerical disadvantage, inflicting a crushing defeat with fewer than 30 casualties on their side. This battle showcased the Kali's extraordinary combat abilities and their capacity to triumph against overwhelming odds. Darth Malthael, armed with a blood-red lightsaber, made an imposing entrance onto the battlefield. Surrounded by sinister, smoke-like wraiths that howled and danced around him, he advanced with a confidence that made him seem almost careless. Despite the barrage of energy blasts aimed at him, Malthael effortlessly deflected them with swift movements of his lightsaber, sending them back to strike their originators directly. The spectacle was so rapid that only a super high-speed camera could capture the nuances of his movements. To the naked eye, it appeared as a mere flicker. With a mere wave of his hand, he redirected missiles and cannonballs back to their sources, causing explosions that reduced missile launchers and artillery to rubble. As he approached the shelter of the Keshel planet's guards, the soldiers could only watch in terror, paralyzed and mute, as the dark wraiths surrounding Malthael let out silent roars and lunged at them. Those touched by the wraiths immediately lost all signs of life, their bodies falling to the ground as cold corpses, which then withered away as Malthael absorbed the essence of their lives. This dark power, capable of healing wounds and reviving the dead, was now used in a perverse manner to reanimate the fallen soldiers, who then turned against their comrades. Within less than an hour, the planet Keshel surrendered. Darth Malthael then gathered the planet's inhabitants in the airspace of what used to be a prison. Addressing the tens of thousands before him, his voice, though not loud, carried with a chilling clarity. "Who leaked the information? Tell me, or I will kill 100 people every minute." Without waiting for a response, Kali mercenaries dragged 100 individuals from the crowd, brutally forced them to the ground, and executed them on the spot, their blood painting the scene in a grim tableau. Consider those 100 a welcoming gift. "Now, let's start the timer," Malthael announced with a chilling indifference. Suddenly, from the crowd, a voice declared, "It's me. I'm the one who leaked the information." Volume 2, Chapter 729, The Deeper Darkness. Several Kali mercenaries forcefully brought a man forward. Darth Malthael scrutinized the tall, slender figure before him and inquired, "Who are you?" "Kassar Fog, I'm a teacher," the man responded. "Very well, then. To whom did you provide information, and what was it?" Das Messiah pressed. "A Republic Chaser-class battlecruiser arrived here, seeking the location of a project known as the Extractor. I informed them about the abnormal energy readings on planet Aaron," Colossal Fog explained. Darth Malthael, skeptical, probed further. "As a teacher, how could you possibly be aware of the unusual energy fluctuations on planet Aaron? Who informed you?" Colossal Fog lifted his gaze defiantly and declared, "I discovered it myself during my travels. It has nothing to do with anyone else." Unconvinced, Das Messiah signaled with a wave of his hand. The Kali soldiers forcibly removed another 100 people from the gathered crowd and executed them without a moment's hesitation. Colossal Fog's face contorted in agony as he screamed, "It was me, only me. I swear I'm not lying. Please, just kill me instead." Yet Das Messiah remained indifferent. Another 100 individuals were dragged out and mercilessly killed in front of the crowd. Amidst the ensuing chaos, a voice rang out, "This monster's wife and children are among us." The color drained from Colossal Fog's face as he watched the Kali mercenaries pull his wife and 4 children, 2 sons and 2 daughters, into view. Overwhelmed by despair, he collapsed to his knees. "I saw him secretly conversing with Necker just the other day," someone in the crowd accused. "Necker, you say?" Darth Malthael inquired, a sneer playing on his lips. With no way out, Colossal Fog admitted defeat and nodded. A Rodian was then dragged from the crowd, cursing, "Fog, you traitor! And to think I called you a friend, you've doomed us both." In a swift motion, the Rodian's head was severed by a flash of Darth Malthael's red lightsaber. "Now tell me, to whom did you relay the information?" Darth Malthael persisted. Colossal Fog, having lost all semblance of hope, murmured, "It was Aichu Shen John, the Jedi Master." "See? That wasn't so hard, was it?" Darth Malthael said, patting him on the shoulder. "Now, let's discuss your punishment. I'm prepared to die. Just please, spare my family. I beg of you." Colossal Fog pleaded, kneeling before Darth Malthael. Darth Malthael, feigning compassion, stroked his head and reassured, "Why would I kill you and your family? They have a 50% chance of survival." Colossal Fog looked up, tears of gratitude in his eyes. Thank you so much." However, Darth Malthael's next words were chilling. "I offer you 2 choices. First, I will annihilate everyone on the planet Kosher, including your family, except for you." Colossal Fog's expression turned to one of horror, his body trembling uncontrollably. "Or second," Darth Malthael continued with a sinister smile, "I will only kill half of the planet's population. The choice of who lives and who dies will be yours to make. Afterward, your family will be spared. Please, not this. Just kill me. Kill me now." Colossal Fog, in a state of utter despair, lunged towards Darth Malthael's lightsaber in a bid to end his own life. A A gentle yet firm force stopped him in his tracks, preventing any further movement. "Am I not merciful? Dear Mr. Cassalfog, make your choice," Darth Marthale said, his tone warm yet underlined with extreme cruelty. Overcome with grief, Cassalfog wept bitterly. "Choose. Otherwise, I will assume you prefer the first option," Darth Marthale stated. Amidst his sobs, Cassalfog finally made his heart-wrenching decision. "I choose the second option." "Very well," Darth Marthale said, patting him on the cheek before standing up to address the Kali mercenaries. "Ensure he makes a choice, then place the body of the deceased in the old prison area. Relocate the Cassalfog family there as well, providing them with fine wine and food. Encourage frequent communication with Shenjan for his rescue. Inform Cassal that should he choose suicide, his family will be handed over to the survivors." Lastly, he extracted a blood-red kyber crystal. "Place this on Cassalfog." "Understood," replied the Kali mercenary, his tone devoid of emotion. In their genocidal conflict with the Yamre, they had long abandoned any semblance of humanity. "Perhaps upon my return I will have acquired an interesting toy. I recall a Sith alchemy technique Plagueis once mentioned to me." "Ha!" Darth Masayer chuckled darkly before boarding the spaceship. On the outskirts of the galaxy, near the planet Velmor, a Galactic Republic Consul-class cruiser emerged from hyperspace, docking at the planet's spaceport. Inside, a squadron of clone troopers stood at the ready, escorting a Neimoidian woman in opulent attire, though her wrists were shackled. This woman was Purl Baron, the senior sector director of the Trade Federation, now desperately pleading for her freedom. "The Trade Federation will pay my ransom. It's unjust. This isn't fair. Ransoms can be negotiated on an individual basis. Name your price, any amount. The credits could be transferred directly into your personal accounts." "Silence. You will face a fair trial by the Galactic Republic," one of the clone troopers retorted, delivering a sharp slap to silence her protests. "Justice? Do you truly believe the Republic Senate will deliver justice? You're incredibly naive. Don't you understand the Republic's bureaucracy? I'll be acquitted, and you'll be left with nothing. Absolutely nothing," Purl Baron raged. Suddenly, an urgent alarm blared from within the spacecraft. A voice, tinged with panic, announced over the intercom, "Intruder detected. Prepare for battle." At the spaceport command center and aboard the bridge of the Consul-class cruiser, a radar operator, voice quivering with fear, reported, "We have an intruder. A single craft, an unidentified fighter jet. It's red." "All anti-aircraft units, open fire. Shoot it down," commanded the officer. "No use. It's too fast. Its acceleration is nearing 4,000 grams. Our fire control radars can't lock on. Is such speed even possible for a human pilot?" Chapter 730. Intimidation. The red fighter jet, with its compact design, boasted 2 quintuple missile launchers mounted atop and 2 explosive laser cannons beneath. Its wings were complemented by additional engines in a V-shaped configuration, perpendicular to the wings. This design gave the fighter a bulky appearance, yet its performance told a different story. With an astonishing acceleration of nearly 4,000 grams, the jet effortlessly evaded all anti-aircraft fire, rendering the robotic defenses unable to react in time. Before the robots could even register and respond to the threat, the fighter had already bypassed them. After shaking off the anti-aircraft fire, the fighter launched a barrage of missiles. 10 missiles were fired simultaneously, each locking onto a target with precision thanks to an advanced fire control system. The majority of the anti-aircraft turrets at the spaceport were obliterated in an instant. The fighter then made a beeline for the docking platform, transforming mid-flight into an 8-meter-tall robot as it landed. The robot, with its arms replaced by blasting laser cannons and missile launchers mounted on its shoulders, exuded a menacing aura with its bright red chassis. Without hesitation, it unleashed a torrent of laser fire, causing explosions throughout the spaceport. Staff, soldiers, and civilians alike were caught in the chaos, sent flying by the blasts. However, the clone trooper squad escorting Puller Baron was spared. They quickly took cover behind a sculpture in a flower bed, shielding Puller Baron from the onslaught before returning fire with their DS-15 blaster rifles. Their efforts, however, barely scratched the robot's shield. The robot ceased its attack momentarily as its cockpit opened, and a figure clad in black leaped out, descending like an eagle. Mid-air, a blood-red lightsaber ignited, deflecting incoming blaster beams back at the attackers, instantly killing 5 clone soldiers. Landing with a squat to absorb the impact, the figure, Darth Malthol, drew a semicircle with his lightsaber, the intense heat igniting the metal ground and creating a fiery ring. His black cloak and hood obscured his face, leaving his intentions a mystery. As the clone troopers continued their futile assault, one of them hurled a grenade towards Darth Malthol. Another, with precise aim, shot the grenade, causing it to explode midair. But just before the explosion, Darth Malthol waved his arm, sending the flames and shrapnel back towards the clone troopers, forcing them into cover as he vanished, moving through their ranks like a specter. Seconds later, Darth Malthol stood before Puller Baron, surrounded by the fallen clone soldiers. Puller Baron, trembling with fear, stammered, who are you? Are you here to save me? I'll pay you, whatever you want. 5 million credits. No, 10 million. Seeing no response from Darth Malthol, Puller Baron desperately offered, a spaceship. I can get you a Lucrehut-class battleship. Give it to you. Give it to you directly, Darth Malthol declared, his voice cutting through the air with authority. Without hesitation, he produced a communicator, tossed it onto the ground, and dialed a specific frequency. The device flickered to life, projecting the holographic image of another Neimoidian, Newt Gunray, the governor of the Trade Federation. Upon seeing the assembly, Gunray's brow furrowed in disapproval. Puller Baron, what are you doing? Where are you? On the battlefield. Tell him about your time on the planet Aaron, Darth Malthol instructed calmly. No, it's very normal. Puller Baron stammered, clearly intimidated by the presence of the Trade Federation's governor. Her voice trailed off as she caught a glimpse of Darth Malthol from the corner of her eye. Overcome with fear, she dropped to her knees. No, I meant to say, on the planet Aaron, I embezzled more than 140 million credits allocated for experimental funds. She confessed her corruption in full detail, and with each word, Gunray's exposition Shishin grew increasingly grim. Puller Baron, the Extractor Project is a key initiative personally selected by Count Dooku. How dare you? Gunray's reprimand was abruptly cut short. In a swift motion, a red lightsaber flashed, cleaving Puller Baron in two. Her body fell apart, revealing Darth Malthol standing behind her, clad in a black cloak, wielding the blood-red lightsaber. You, Gunray stammered, shocked by the gruesome scene. He fell to the ground, scrambling backwards in terror. The sight of the black cloak, the blood-red lightsaber, and the enigmatic figure brought back a nightmare that had haunted him for over a decade. Darth Sidious. An invisible force, as if transcending time and space, gripped Gunray's neck from thousands of light-years away, lifting him up before slamming him against the screen. From the other side, Gunray's holographic projection appeared as nothing more than a contorted, desperate face. Just as he was about to suffocate, Darth Malthol released him. Gunray, nearly incontinent with fear, collapsed to the ground. Lord Sidious, please forgive me, he pleaded. I am an angel of death, Darth Malthol declared coldly. Gunray, looking up at the terrifying figure, was momentarily speechless, struck by fear and awe. I want victory in this war, Darth Malthol stated icily. Do not let me witness such failure again. This is war, not business. In war, you either live or die. There is no middle ground. And next time, it will be you who dies. Vol 2, Chapter 731, Zero the Hutt. I understand! Newt Gunray nodded fervently, as if his life depended on it. Lord Sidious has already instructed me. No, you clearly do not understand, Darth Malthol responded icily. To you, the outcome of this war might seem crucial, but to Darth Sidious, it's of lesser significance. Therefore, for the sake of your own survival, you must secure a victory in this war. Fulfill your role diligently and avoid any further foolish mistakes. I will. I promise I will. Gunray stammered, his voice laced with desperation. Darth Malthol sneered dismissively before ending the communication. An alarm from the universal tool strapped to his wrist interrupted the silence. It was the radar from his new fighter jet, signaling the arrival of Republic reinforcements. Given that this area was under the control of the Galactic Republic, a direct assault on a Republic outpost, coupled with the assassination of a high-profile prisoner, would undoubtedly provoke a severe response. Even Darth Malthol knew he couldn't linger in this region for long. The red robot soared into the sky, transforming mid-air back into the compact fighter jet. Accelerating to maximum speed, it vanished into the cosmos. Life had been exceedingly challenging for Zero the Hutt of the Deseligic clan. In fact, her struggles began a decade ago. As the younger sibling of Zorba Desilgic and the aunt of Jabba Desilgic, Zero navigated the complexities of Hutt society. Hutts are hermaphrodites, capable of presenting as any gender they choose, and Zero, with a penchant for extravagance, often adopted a feminine persona. Despite her high status within the powerful Deseligic family, Zero was never truly embraced. Initially, Zorba held the reins of power, but after demonstrating his incompetence, leadership shifted to his son Jabba, with another brother, Giliak Deseligic, also wielding significant influence. Zero, lacking both remarkable talent and the boldness required for decisive action, was relegated to the sidelines, despite her lofty position. Yet, Zero harbored her own ambitions. She aligned herself with the galaxy's most formidable criminal organization, the Black Sun, leveraging her Hutt lineage and resources to serve as one of the 9 Vigos. She even relocated to Coruscant, the heart of the Galactic Republic, to establish her own criminal empire. However, her influence within the Black Sun was limited. She was primarily utilized by its leader, Alexei Garin, as a conduit to the Hutt clans. Disaster struck when tensions between the Black Sun and the Dawn planets escalated, spiraling out of control. The situation worsened with the destruction of Vigakash Garulan, one of the 9 Vigos, drawing the attention of the Corporate Sector Authority, the Trade Federation, and the Techno Union. As these corporate behemoths entered the fray, the Black Sun's power waned, forcing them into retreat. The situation reached a critical point when Alexei Garin conspired with Hutt Ghidorah Basadi in a failed attempt to assassinate Hago Damask II, resulting in the destruction of Damask's favored meeting place on Sovalon. This act of aggression unleashed a terrifying wave of retribution. Unbeknownst to the Black Sun, they had provoked the wrath of the galaxy's most feared entity, the Sith Lord. With the Intergalactic Banking Clan and Damask Holdings joining the pursuit, the Black Sun found itself besieged by the galaxy's most powerful corporations, a situation from which there seemed no escape. In the shadows of an unseen war, Zero found herself cowering in a corner, enveloped by fear. Despite the constant stream of news about the murder of Vigo of the Black Sun, she remained untouched. Figures of power like Tang Xiao, Hago Damask II, Schiff Palpatine, and his lethal enforcer, Darth Maul, seemed to deliberately avoid her, despite knowing her hiding place in the depths of Lower Coruscant. It was a peculiar form of truce, seemingly granted by her lineage and the name she bore. As the dark days struck head-on, Zero's fear gave way to resentment. She grew to despise her own family, the Deseligic clan, for their indifference during her time of need. She was convinced that with their support, she could have seized control of a significant portion of the Black Sun. Yet they left her to fend for herself. Her disdain extended to her nephew, Jabba, and her brother, Giliak, who had marginalized her from the family's core, depriving her of the wealth and power that was her birthright. She vowed to reclaim what was hers. However, Zero was acutely aware of the futility in challenging Jabba and Giliak directly. Even after Jabba was temporarily ousted from Tatooine by Ghidorah, the Deseligic family's foundations remained unshaken, with Giliak at the helm, poised for a counterstrike that would eventually restore Jabba to power. All these developments occurred without Zero's knowledge, leaving her to chart her own course. In the aftermath of the Black Sun's reconstruction, Zero found herself weakened and isolated. In her desperation, she sought the aid of Count Dooku, only to be met with polite dismissals and hollow promises. Unbeknownst to her, her fate had already diverged from its original course. Had things remained as they were, Count Dooku would have offered substantial assistance in exchange for her involvement in a scheme against Jabba. However, with Jabba's circumstances drastically altered, Dooku's plans no longer required her participation. Just when all seemed lost, a glimmer of hope emerged. Zero was informed of an opportunity to return to Narsada and potentially ascend to the leadership of the Deseligic family. This mysterious benefactor even offered to settle her considerable debts. Without a moment's hesitation, Zero embraced this chance for redemption. She departed Coruscant in secrecy, heading to Mingban, a planet on the fringes of Hutt space, recently ravaged by war. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, Zero Desiligic Tuel the Hutt, marked by a black sun tattoo on her abdomen. Volume 2, Chapter 732, Nasada in Trouble, Middle. In the vast expanse of outer space surrounding the planet Mingban, the aftermath of a fierce battle was evident. Both the Republic and the Confederacy had dispatched recovery teams to salvage the core technical components from the wreckage of their respective battleships. However, the remnants of fallen spacecraft, various robots, and weapon debris were left untouched. This area fell under the jurisdiction of the Hutts, who were already displeased with the Republic and the Confederacy using their space as a battleground. The notion of salvaging the wreckage was out of the question, turning the site into a haven for scavengers. Numerous garbage merchants, employed by the Hutts, navigated their vessels through the debris field, eager to collect every scrap of metal they could find. Among the valuable finds was durasteel, a highly advanced and protective material used by the Republic to manufacture battleship armor. Despite its intended use, the scavengers saw potential in repurposing it for other means. Guided by a navigation droid, Zero's shuttle descended into Mingban's atmosphere. Her unique identification code, granted by the Hutts, ensured her safe passage. Following the coordinates, she arrived at a desolate hill where a man in a black cloak awaited her. Despite the powerful gusts from the shuttle's engines, the man stood unflinchingly as the cloak billowed around him. Zero emerged from the shuttle with 4 B-2 super combat robots in tow. She greeted the cloaked figure with a smile, saying, "So, you are the generous sponsor. It's a pleasure to meet you." Zero's ability to speak fluent galactic common language was a rare talent among the Hutts, showcasing her unique capabilities. "I instructed you to come to planet Mingban alone," Darth Marthale stated, his voice cold and stern. "It's just for safety." Zero began, but was cut short as Darth Marthale raised his hand. The B-2 robots trembled violently before their control centers were crushed by an unseen force, rendering them inoperative amidst a cloud of smoke and sparks. Zero stood frozen in shock, her confidence shattered by the display of power. "I'm an angel of death," Darth Marthale declared, brushing off his hands as if clearing away dust. Yes, I." Zero stammered, her fear palpable. Darth Marthale's gaze lingered on her, his hooded eyes exuding a chilling cruelty that made Zero recoil. "Look at you, Hutt, Zero, Desiligic, Teal," he said, emphasizing the connection to the Desiligic family with disdain. "How weak, how helpless. If your nephew Jabba were here, he wouldn't be in such a sorry state." Zero continued to retreat until an invisible barrier halted her escape. She looked on in horror, too frightened to even breathe. A Hutt, an elder of the Desiligic family, a Vigo of the Black Sun. "Poor Zero, you've resorted to owing money? A mere 70 million credits have brought you to this?" Darth Marthale taunted. "Thank you for helping me settle my debt," Zero managed to say, her voice trembling. Darth Marthale activated a holographic projection from a communicator, displaying 5 severed heads arranged on a table, each surrounded by credit ingots, the universal currency of the Galactic Republic. Zero immediately recognized the individuals, her fear intensifying at the sight. Trembling, she uttered the names, Rama, Ampi, Thundra. They. "Ah, that's right. They have the audacity to make a Hutt, an elder of the Desiligic family, a Vigo of the Black Sun, owe a debt, and now they expect you to repay it. Don't they deserve what's coming to them? Think about it. Would Jabba or Gileak ever find themselves in a position where they had to borrow money? Would anyone dare to ask them to repay it?" Darth Marthale's voice resonated with a sinister tone. Zero gazed at the heads displayed in the holographic projection, his eyes burning with intensity. "I merely assisted you in asserting your rightful power," Darth Marthale added. "What do you want me to do?" "No, I'll do whatever you ask of me." Chiluo's heart surged with an indescribable emotion, and the fear within her heart diminished significantly amidst her anger. "As long as I can get on board, I'm willing to give everything." Her hatred for Jabba and Gileak had never been more intense. "Return to planet Narsada. Reclaim what is rightfully yours," Darth Marthale instructed calmly. "But I'm no match for Gileak at all. He and Jabba control nearly all the assets and operations of the Desiligic family," Zero protested. "You alone, of course not. But what if you had your brother's support? Darth Marthael mentioned a name that seemed to explode in the air. Zorba. He's not. Zero was taken aback. He will be released from the planet Kip in a few days, Darth Marthael revealed slowly. This is to correct the Desiligic family's misguided path. Walking the crooked road. This is. Jabba and Ghidorah are about to unite. This means the Desiligic family and the Basadi family, who have been adversaries for thousands of years, will soon become one. You will have to stand by as equals, call them brothers. Their despicable presence will haunt you forever. And more importantly, Darth Marthael glanced at Zero. You will remain an outsider, merely watching the Basadi family enjoy the wealth, influence, smuggling routes, and planets that should have been yours. Chilo's emotions were fully ignited, and she shouted loudly, waving her short hand. No, absolutely not. Those in the Basadi family deserve to be cursed. Then, go to Smuggler's Moon, Narsada. Vol 2, Chapter 733, The Culprit. On the outer rim of the Milky Way lies the planet Kip, an unremarkable world with little to offer in terms of strategic significance. Its economy is underdeveloped, its technology rudimentary, and it lacks any major hyperspace lanes. The indigenous population is still navigating the early stages of the Industrial Revolution, having chosen not to adopt the advanced technologies of the Galactic Republic to avoid societal and economic upheaval. As a result, even amidst galactic conflict, Kip maintains its peace by declaring neutrality and continuing its simple way of life. Neither the Confederation of Independent Galaxies nor the Galactic Republic has seen fit to disturb this tranquility. However, Kip does possess one notable resource, Ulakuo gemstones. These rare, softly shaped, and brightly colored gemstones are highly prized in the jewelry industry. Despite their value, the planet's lack of strategic importance has spared it from exploitation. This peaceful existence was disrupted when the planet became the unlikely jailer of Zorba Dezilgic Teal, the patriarch of the Dezilgic family and a high-ranking elder of the Hutt clan. Seeking a diversion from his family business's failures, Zorba traveled to Kip in his personal spaceship, the Zorba Express, intending to mine its gemstones for his amusement. As the head of a notorious crime family, Zorba had no intention of paying for his spoils. His brazen theft was quickly discovered, and he found himself surrounded by hundreds of bolt-action rifles. Ultimately, Zorba was arrested and sentenced to 45 years in prison. Despite the ease with which the Hutts could have secured Zorba's release, internal politics played a role in his continued incarceration. Alok Basadi Ora, Zorba's lifelong adversary, publicly opposed any rescue effort, arguing that Zorba's imprisonment benefited Hutt society. The Dezilgic family, under the temporary leadership of Giliac Desiligic Teal, remained conspicuously silent on the matter, effectively abandoning Zorba to his fate. Thus, for the seemingly trivial crime of gem theft, Zorba began his sentence on Kip, a fact known only to a few high-ranking Hutts. However, the planet soon found itself under attack, with the raiders' target being none other than Zorba himself. All battleships form up and stay alert for any Republic reinforcements. Mira, deploy your fighter squadron for an initial bombing run, commanded Matt Horner through the battle's communication channel. Hey, Pony, if you'd shake my hand, I'd send the fighters out this instant, retorted Mira Han playfully. This is a battle command, not a game, Horner replied sternly. My crew doesn't see it that way, Mira Han countered lazily. Sir, the engine's down, we can't fly, came a report, followed by another voice. It's Valentine's Day, the boss is single, and morale is low. We just can't muster the will to move. Horner's voice betrayed his anxiety. Mira, I can't fly. Fine, let's not make a habit of this. Horner seemed to resign himself to the situation, and a scuffle was briefly heard over the communication. Aha! Mira Han exclaimed triumphantly. Brothers, let's go. I'm in a good mood today. Yeah, let's do this! Ha ha! My plane's got full power now! The pirate pilot's laughter filled the channel as their modified black ghost fighters launched from the hangar of the Grey Horse-class carrier, racing towards their target with renewed vigor. In the vast expanse of space, the undefended planet Kip hung silently. Amidst the tension, Matt Horner found himself grappling with an unexpected question. Wait a minute, what does it mean to be happy? He asked in a mix of confusion and panic. Literally, Pony, came the cryptic reply. Whoever told you you can't accidentally injure civilians? They won't fire unless you hug me, was the equally baffling response. Didn't I say it's not an example? Horner protested. Yes, so I didn't ask you to touch my hand again, Pony, came the retort, adding to the confusion. The planet Kip, despite being armed with the most formidable anti-air weaponry, including a quadruple hand-cranked machine gun, quickly surrendered after a brief resistance. Following the demands of the attacking pirate fleet, Hut Zorba Daziljic Tiul was reluctantly handed over. Initially, the defenders mistook their attackers for a mere band of pirates, not realizing the truth was not far off. The assault was led by an elite fleet under the Fourth Civilization, with all traces of the Confederation of Independent Systems logos and the standard blue and white paint meticulously removed. Governor Tang Xiao, the supreme leader of the Fourth Civilization, had ordered the operation, with Matt Horner, commander of Fleet A, personally overseeing the battle. Mira Han, responsible for space operations in Titan security, brought along pirate pilots from her ranks to join the fray as a carrier-based aircraft formation. Consequently, Mira Han was appointed deputy commander of the raid. Zorba, upon being released from prison, initially thought his son had come to his rescue. However, the sight of human soldiers quickly dispelled that notion, prompting him to attempt an escape. His efforts were in vain, as he was swiftly captured by the soldiers of planet Kip and ensnared in a large net before being dragged onto a spaceship. On the bridge of the Grey Horse-class aircraft carrier, Mira Han was in high spirits, clearly enjoying the situation. In contrast, Matt Horner appeared distressed, continuously wiping his face with a towel. Despite his efforts, a bright red lip print remained stubbornly visible, its color even more pronounced. Don't struggle with the pony. This is a special flaming red lipstick, and there's absolutely no way to wash it off within 2 days, Mirahan declared triumphantly. I'm going on vacation. I can't take it anymore. Horner exclaimed in frustration. Mirahan's eyes sparkled with mischief. What? You want to take a vacation? That's perfect. I'll take one too. Horner could only blush in response. Fortunately, a burst of scolding and hut from outside the door momentarily diverted their attention. Lord Zorba says, "Don't you know who I am? How dare you kidnap a hut? Bounty hunters from across the galaxy will come after you." Zorba's protocol droid translated, adding a layer of threat to the already tense situation. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Please remember the first domain name of this book. You are omitted. For the fastest mobile version updates, visit Omitted. Volume 2, Chapter 734, Disaster on Narsada, Part 2. Zorba Dazilij Teal, a hut of unique distinction, stood out in any gathering of his kind. Unlike the typical hairless huts, Zorba boasted a thick mane of hair and a beard, a rarity that could only be attributed to a genetic anomaly. This was especially peculiar considering his brother, Zero, was known for his ability to speak Galactic Standard without the need for a translator. At over 900 years old, Zorba's dark green skin had the rough texture of ancient tree bark, and his gray hair and beard were unkempt, giving him the appearance of a large, tangled bush. His appearance bore the marks of his time in the harsh conditions of the Kip Planet prison, showing no signs of preferential treatment. Upon arriving on the bridge, Zorba's mood was far from pleasant. Speaking loudly in Hut, his words were quickly translated by an etiquette robot. Master Zorba says, "You will pay for your rudeness. Do you know who I am?" Matt Horner and Mira Han exchanged a glance before responding. "Of course, Mr. Zorba, we were specifically tasked with rescuing you." "And who might have sent you?" Zorba inquired through the robot. "A fellow Hut by the name of Zero Deziligic Teul," Matt replied, turning slightly to hide the lipstick marks on his face, though Zorba seemed utterly indifferent to such details. "Why would she save me?" Zorba pressed on. "She didn't provide us with details, only instructed us to bring you to Narsada," Matt explained. Zorba muttered something in Hut that the robot chose not to translate. Despite his advanced age and the knowledge he had accumulated, Zorba's situation was not as dire as Zero's had been, and he could not be swayed by the same tactics. It was clear that convincing Zorba would require a different approach, one that Zero herself would have to undertake. Before their departure, Tang Xiao, or rather Darth Marthael, had succinctly stated that Zero had already done what was necessary. Now it was time for guidance rather than control. As long as the interests and conflicts remained, events would unfold as they should. Tang Xiao had never doubted the outcome of certain events, such as Darth Sidious's betrayal of Darth Plagueis, for the simple reason that the dynamics of their relationships made it inevitable. His role was merely to ensure that the inevitable played out as expected. The spaceship made its way to the heart of Hutt space, landing on the smuggler's moon, Narsada. After delivering Zorba Desiligic to the designated spaceport, Matt Horner and Mira Han, along with their pirate fleet, departed in silence. Their mission, shrouded in secrecy, left no one aware of Zorba's return to the helm of the Desiligic family. Zorba, accompanied by his ceremonial robot, made his way from the secluded spaceport to a lavishly decorated living room where he was finally reunited with his younger brother, Zero Desiligic. "Why have you returned to Narsada, Zero? You have no business here," Zorba declared haughtily in Hutt. "I've come back for the same reasons you have," Zero responded calmly. "Do you harbor ill intentions towards our family?" Zorba asked, his tone icy. "Of course not. I wouldn't dare challenge the mighty Desiligic Besati family," Zero replied with a hearty laugh, clearly enjoying Zorba's reaction. The mention of the Besati name immediately incensed Zorba. "Do not tarnish the Desiligic family's honor with that vile, despicable name." "Oh, but your beloved son Jabba is about to marry into the Ghidorah Besati family. Poor child, ever since being exiled from Tatooine by Ghidorah, his only path back. It's truly lamentable," Zero said, her words dripping with sarcasm as she observed Zorba's growing fury. "The Desiligic Besati family is indeed very powerful, or perhaps it should be referred to as the Besati Desiligic family," Zero remarked with a peculiar tone. Zorba immediately flew into a rage. "What did you just say? Impossible! How could our esteemed Desiligic family ever unite with the lowly Besati family? Have they lost their minds?" "Oh, I heard that this decision was made by Alak Besati and your beloved brother, Giljak Desiligic," Zero said, barely concealing his glee. "Alak Besati! I should have known it was you, you deceitful scoundrel. Just as I suspected, the moment I turned my back, you all conspired against us." Upon hearing the name, Zorba's anger reached new heights, followed by a tirade of rapid and indistinct curses. After venting for a good 5 minutes, he stormed out. Zero inquired, "What are you planning to do?" "I'm going to put an end to their schemes and prevent them from dragging my family down," Zorba declared furiously. "And who do you think you are at this moment? The patriarch of the Desiligic family? No, you're merely a prisoner who has just been released from the planet Kip. What can you possibly do against the mighty Besati Desiligic family?" Zero continued his taunting. "After your capture, Alak Besati brazenly announced at the Hutt Congress that your absence was a blessing, and your brother Giljak Desiligic silently accepted everything. You've spent so long in a cell on planet Kip, yet you've learned nothing?" Zero remarked. Zorba, finally calming down slightly, pondered for a moment before responding, "No, this must be because Jabba was coerced by that scoundrel Giljak. Jabba would never agree to this on his own." For Zorba, the alliance between Jabba and Ghidorah was as preposterous and unforgivable as a renowned anti-Japanese general marrying a high-ranking female officer of the Kwantung Army during the anti-Japanese war. "If you're curious about Giljak's thoughts on this matter, why not ask him yourself?" Zero suggested coldly. "Give me the communicator," Zorba demanded. "Do you really want Giljak to know you're in Narsada now? I doubt you'd survive until tomorrow," Zero warned. He then moved to the other side of the living room and pressed a button, revealing a room. "Here, it has been set up to resemble your prison environment on planet Kip, complete with a hyperspace signal switching device. Even if someone tries to track you, they'll be led to believe you're still on planet Kip." Zorba, satisfied, made his way towards the room, saying, "For once, you've actually come up with a smart plan, Zero. If only you had been this clever before, you wouldn't be in your current predicament." "I think your situation is no better than mine, Zorba. You've lost your entire family to others," Zero retorted with a sneer. Volume 2, Chapter 735, The Beginning of the Riot. The tension was palpable as Zorba swiftly concluded his communication with Gigliak. Upon recognizing the caller, Gigliak's demeanor turned icy. "Zorba, shouldn't you be enjoying your retirement? What business do you have with me? I'm currently overwhelmed managing the vast Desiligic family affairs." Zorba, unfazed by Gigliak's cold reception, retorted sharply. Giljak Disilgic Tiran, you dare align yourself with that contemptible Alak Basadi and even consider handing my son over to Gadura. Have you no regard for our family's honor? You're proving to be nothing but an incompetent fool. Gigliak responded coolly. Our family's honor won't secure Tatooine for us. You're blinded by your short-sightedness. Is Tatooine all that matters to us? You're willing to jeopardize Jabba's future just to cover up your own failures. Zorba's voice boomed with indignation. Gigliak remained calm. You fail to see the looming crisis that only Alak and I can perceive. That's why we must act decisively. Don't you dare speak to me about that despicable Alak. Cut all ties with the Basadi family immediately, or you'll regret it. Zorba's threat was palpable. If there's nothing else, then this conversation is over, Gigliak stated coldly, ending the call abruptly. Wait, did you not hear a word I said, Gigliak? Zorba's protest was cut short as the line went dead. Fuming, Zorba resorted to cursing in Hutt, his words unintelligible to anyone else. You see? You're powerless now, Zorba, Zero sneered, slithering into the communication room. I'll contact my old allies right away. We'll dethrone Gigliak and deal with him accordingly. Zorba declared. Even if you rally your old team, they won't be enough to overthrow Gigliak. Besides, they might have already sided with him. Zero remarked with a smirk. No, it's not over yet. Did Gigliak really think I left the Daziljic family without safeguards? He's sorely mistaken, Zorba countered bitterly. We need an army, Zero interjected, eager to steer the conversation and prove her worth before Zorba acted rashly, which would render her efforts irrelevant. Zorba, catching on to Zero's intent, inquired, The forces you arranged for my rescue? Exactly. Titan Security and the Tatooine Scourge Corps. Zero confirmed. Weren't they previously aligned with the Basadi family? Zorba questioned skeptically. I've persuaded them to switch sides. I convinced them that with Gigliak's new alliance with Alak, they'd be discarded. I offered them 70 million credits. Now, they're loyal to me, as long as they can maintain their operations in Narsada and Tatooine, Zero explained, her pride evident. They agreed to this? Zorba sought confirmation. Absolutely. The Basadi family is oblivious to our arrangement, Zero boasted. And let's not forget, I still wield the power of the Black Sun. I'm the last of the three Vigos, Zero added. If these mercenaries prove reliable, they'll be well compensated, Zorba conceded. I've already devised a plan, Zero said, her confidence surging as she presented a strategy developed with Titan Security's assistance. Zorba reviewed the plan and laughed heartily. Perfect. Let's proceed. Alak, your reckoning awaits. In mere days, chaos engulfed Hutt space. A series of coordinated attacks devastated hundreds of Basadi family holdings, from casinos and bars to red light districts and spice processing plants. The assaults left no survivors among the staff and guards, signaling the start of a ruthless campaign that would span across multiple systems. In a shocking turn of events, over 4,000 lives were lost in a meticulously planned massacre across several planets. The culprit behind this heinous act was swiftly identified as Giant God Security, a group previously employed by the Basadi family. Their intimate knowledge of the Basadi family's assets made them prime suspects. Alak Basadi Ola, the head of the Basadi family, was incensed by the betrayal and immediately issued a substantial bounty on the members of Giant God Security. He promised a reward of 5,000 Upi coins for the head of any Giant God Security member. Additionally, Alak enlisted the services of various pirates and mercenaries who typically operated under the Basadi banner to hunt down and eliminate Giant God Security. In a bold move, Alak also proposed to the governing bodies of Narkata that Giant God Security be expelled from Hutt space, effectively leaving them without refuge and vulnerable to relentless pursuit by bounty hunters. This was a testament to the dire consequences of crossing the Hutts. However, Alak's proposal hit a snag when unexpected support for Giant God Security emerged from within the Hutt ranks. In Hutt space, the unwritten rule for mercenaries and bounty hunters is clear. One must operate under the patronage of a Hutt to ensure a sustainable presence. Defying this norm, two influential Hutts stepped forward in defense of Giant God Security. Bulka, a Hutt with a distinct political agenda and known for his dealings with Severance Tan, was the first to declare his backing. Bolka's opposition to the Republic and his efforts to forge alliances with the Confederation of Independent Systems made him an ally of Tang Xiao, who sought his support. However, Bolka's endorsement alone was insufficient. Zero Desiligic Teal, another prominent Hutt, also declared her support for Giant God security, revealing her intention to undermine the Basadi family. This revelation sparked intense debate within the Hutt Great Council, highlighting the deep-seated rivalries and power struggles among the Hutts. Despite their united front against external threats, internal conflicts were rampant, driven by the ambition to dominate the galaxy. The Basadi family's rapid expansion over the past decade had not gone unnoticed, and their attempt to discredit Giant God security backfired spectacularly. In retaliation, the Basadi family's assets became targets of coordinated attacks. However, Giant God security was well prepared, having fortified their major offices against such threats. Their robust defenses successfully repelled numerous bounty hunters, shifting the tide of vengeance towards the Desiligic family. This sequence of events underscored the volatile nature of alliances and enmities within Hutt space, where loyalty is often fleeting and power is the ultimate currency. Vol 2, Chapter 36, Cowardice and Cruelty. The Basadi family's counterattack was ferocious. They targeted several key strongholds of the Desiligic family, employing a pirate group to launch attacks. This move plunged the already disoriented Desiligic family into chaos, inflicting significant losses on them for the first time. The instructions from the enraged Basadi family to the pirates were clear: seize the assets, spare no one, I want nothing left here. The outcome was as expected. The Hutt Great Council was promptly convened to address the crisis. However, the council was deeply divided. Representatives from other families relished the sight of the two most powerful clans at each other's throats, seeing an opportunity to profit from their conflict. The idea of mediation was laughable to them. Why intervene when there was no benefit in doing so? Within the Hutt Great Council, the Basadi family held 2 of the 5 seats, a testament to their dominance over the past decade. Throughout the council meetings, only Alok Basadi and Giljak Desiligic, who held another seat, engaged in heated debates. After their arguments, Alok directed his frustration towards Gadura, who had remained silent throughout, criticizing her ineffectiveness. However, Alok was well aware of the mastermind behind the recent events and began plotting an even more ruthless revenge. Meanwhile, the Desiligic family was not idle. After the parliamentary dispute, Giljak Desiligic immediately contacted Zero Desiligic. Are you out of your mind, Zero? Do you not realize that war with the Basadi family is out of the question right now? What were you thinking? Return to the family at once to face judgment and punishment, he demanded furiously. Since when did the Desiligic family start worrying about alliances with the Basadi family? Instead of reflecting on your actions, you blame me? Zero retorted mockingly. You have no idea about my plans. In fact, you know nothing. Your recklessness could ruin everything. Who gave you the audacity? If you don't return by today, I will have you arrested according to our family's laws, Giljak threatened. And on what grounds do you intend to punish me? Because I targeted the Basadi family? Perhaps you should inquire with our family elders, Zero sneered, revealing that his actions were sanctioned by someone within the family. Giljak's expression turned icy as he realized that Zero's rebellion was not a solitary act, but supported by influential members of their family. Recalling a cryptic message from Zorba Desiligic, Giljak sensed a deeper conspiracy. He abruptly ended the communication and headed to the family council room, only to discover that among his brothers, Pazda Desiligic was missing, leaving only Eber, who was clueless about the situation. The absence of Zero and Pazda, coupled with Eber's ignorance, highlighted a significant problem within the family. Attempts to contact Zorba using the previous day's communication frequency were futile. It was a decoy. This bunch of fools and incompetents, you're going to ruin everything. Giljak cursed, storming out to seek counsel from his nephew Jabba, the only one cunning enough to navigate this crisis. Simultaneously, Alok Basadi Ola reached out to Tang Xiao. Without waiting for a response, he lashed out. Tang Xiao, you have no idea what you've done. You will pay for this. You have no right to meddle in Hutt affairs. Tang Xiao's image in the holographic projection was chillingly calm, a stark contrast to Alok's fury. Contrary to the kindness he had previously shown, Tang Xiao's demeanor took Alok by surprise. Alok Basadi Ola, it seems your foolishness surpasses my wildest imagination. Did you really think I was oblivious to your secret dealings with Jabba? What promises did Darth Sidious make to entice you into betraying me? You must have been delusional to think this would end without consequence. It's far from over, after all the favors I've extended to you, to think you'd conspire with Zero against my enterprises. Alok fumed with indignation. Tang Xiao's lol. Heater was cold. It's a matter of give and take. When I launched an assault on the planet Christopher Sis, how did the Galactic Republic's fleet manage to arrive? Despite General Grievous's blockade of the Republic's main forces on Farron, Obi-Wan Kenobi's squadron of 20 fighters miraculously appeared at Christopher Sis. And to top it off, you orchestrated a union between Jabba and Ghidorah to usurp my interests on Tatooine. I sought an alliance with you, merely to expand my strategic influence within Hutt space, yet you aimed to monopolize everything without offering anything in return. Tang Xiao's expression turned sinister. Every credit you've earned was through my support. Without me, what could you possibly achieve with just the Dawn planet? You thought you could manipulate the situation through Ghidorah, but I saw through your schemes aimed at undermining the internal power dynamics. Alok retorted, his anger unabated. And now, you will face the consequences. Bounty hunters will target every fleet orbiting your Dawn planet. Pirates will besiege every mine, colony, and outpost you own. The heads of everyone on Dawn will carry a bounty, listed on the black market. Who do you think I am? I am a Hutt, the head of the Basadi family, and you are nothing. No, you're mistaken. Tang Xiao's smile twisted strangely. You think you have all the knowledge? There's at least one thing you're unaware of. Being weak and ruthless doesn't always equate to being ineffective. Sometimes, the most seemingly cowardly and pleasure-seeking individuals, when cornered, can commit acts far more heinous than the most feared assassin. He leaned closer to the screen, his eerie smile growing more pronounced. You're probably unaware that there was once a Hutt who dared to plot against Hago Damask too. Yes, the very Hutt you deem cowardly and incompetent, Ghidorah Basadi. Tang Xiao's laughter echoed, chilling to the bone, yet his eyes remained frosty. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, The Great Council of the Hutts at the End of the Clone Wars. Zero faced interrogation. According to the family crest, from left to right, the first is Alok, followed by Oruba, with Jabba in the center, and Marlow second from the right. Vol 2, Chapter 737, Stability and Chaos. Alok Basadi was taken aback. What are you implying? He demanded. Tang Xiao replied with a sneer. What I'm saying is that ever since Ghidorah glimpsed the possibility of victory on Tatooine and sought your assistance, you've dismissed her. You've made it clear that all cooperation with me is solely at your discretion, with all benefits accruing to you. In your eyes, Ghidorah is nothing more than a decorative piece in Tatooine. You've always treated Ghidorah as an expendable pawn, and later, when you decided it was time to ally with the Desaligic family, you didn't even consult her before insisting she join Jabba. But here's the thing. Ghidorah's ambitions are far greater than you've ever imagined. Far greater. Ghidorah, you've orchestrated all of this. Alok clenched his teeth in fury. But do you really think you've won? I have the power to overturn all of this. I believe it's time for you to face the end with clarity. A deep, ominous voice suddenly interjected from behind him. Alok spun around, only to catch a glimpse of a red energy flash behind him. Then, a burly man with dark skin, white eyes, and no pupils materialized. You! The Hutt's security is formidable, Gabriel Tosh remarked with a sinister grin. Boss, as I mentioned, Ghidorah authorized my intervention. Help! Help! Security! Paul, woo! Alok's plea was cut short as Gabriel Tosh acted swiftly, launching a pill into his gaping mouth. Alok began to retch violently, attempting in vain to expel the pill. The etiquette robot responsible for translations remained indifferent, doing nothing beyond translating Alok's words, not even sounding an alarm. This is your dinner, charcoal-grilled Monaro pack beast tail, delicious yet harmless, Tosh explained, shaking a medicine bottle. However, mix in some algal acid from planet Lowen, and it becomes a deadly poison. By this point, Alok was convulsing, his skin secreting a horrifying green foam. He He was nearly speechless, his blue and yellow body writhing on the ground like a giant slug, his cherished crystal spice bucket long forgotten. Tang Xiao observed the scene with a cold detachment. You should have realized, Alok, within the Basadi family, Ghidorah isn't the only one who wished for your demise. Ah, Alok! With the utterance of another name, eerily similar to his own, Alok breathed his last. Ah. No, I don't fancy knives and guns, Tosh commented. Killing a Hutt, especially someone of Alok's stature, is no small feat. He was among the most influential within the Hutt community, easily ranking in the top 5. Hence, avoiding knives and guns is prudent. They would only draw unwanted attention to our actions, Tang Xiao explained. You pay, I follow your lead, Tosh replied with a wicked smile. Handle the cleanup and leave a subtle clue pointing to Ghidorah. As for another Hutt, keep his evidence for now. It might come in handy, Tang Xiao instructed, casting a final glance at Alok's corpse. He's the one who will next control the Basadi family. This individual is no simpleton, certainly more challenging to deal with than Alok. Aluk, give me 10 million, and I'll eliminate him, Tosh offered. Firstly, I suspect he won't be easy to kill. Secondly, his death would cause an uproar among the Hutts, which wouldn't serve my interests, Tang Xiao reasoned. You pay, I follow your lead, Tosh reiterated, before vanishing in a burst of red energy. The death of Alok Basadi, a prominent leader of the Basadi family, was shrouded in secrecy. News of his demise was swiftly suppressed, with the outside world led to believe that Alok had merely gone on a leisurely trip. The interim head of the Basadi family was appointed to be Aluk Basadi Ola, a senior elder within the family. Despite the similarity in their names across various languages, Aluk and Alok were not related by blood. Aluk, nearing the age of 900, had spent centuries climbing from the lowest ranks to the pinnacle of the Basadi family hierarchy. Aruk, known among many in the Basadi family as Aruk the Great, was renowned not only for his formidable management skills, but also for his cunning, changeable, cruel, and vicious methods. His physical stature was equally imposing, weighing more than a ton, making him resemble a living tank among the Hutts. 90 years prior, Aruk underwent a transformation to female and gave birth to his son, Durga Basadi Te. Durga, despite bearing a birthmark that rendered him horribly ugly even by Hutt standards, was in no way inferior to Aruk in terms of slyness and cunning. After Durga's birth, Aruk reverted to male and continued to oversee the Basadi family's affairs. He became the principal advisor to Aluk Basadi. Following Aluk's untimely demise, Aruk took on the mantle of leadership for the Basadi family, albeit temporarily. He embarked on a mission to rectify the chaos left in Aluk's wake, adopting a low-key yet efficient approach. He marshaled a formidable force to fend off the mercenaries and pirates besieging the Basadi family, spearheaded by a giant security guard. Concurrently, he initiated a comprehensive investigation within the family, imposing a strict ban on all external assistance, even at the cost of significant benefits. Aruk extended the same directive to Ghidorah, promising her unparalleled power over Tatooine on the condition that she sever all ties with external entities, including Dawn Planet, the Fourth Group, and even the Scourge. Despite the initial loss of influence and economic interests, these measures gradually restored stability within the Basadi family. Meanwhile, turmoil began to brew within the Desiligic family. The day following Aluk Basadi's death, Zorba Desiligic Tiul, the venerable patriarch of the Desiligic family, made a grand entrance into the family's headquarters in Nasada. Upon reaching the council hall, he confronted Jiliak, whose expression was marred by displeasure. With a triumphant laugh, Zorba unveiled a holographic projection displaying the lifeless body of Aluk Basadi, proclaiming with arrogance, "Ha! This is the fate that befits a Basadi." Vol 2, Chapter 738, Parted Ways. As Zorba Desiligic stood with an air of pride, Gigliak clenched his teeth in frustration. "Do you really think that by killing Alok Basadi, all our problems will be solved? You have no idea why I chose to ally with Alok in the first place." "I have no interest in your reasons, Gigliak. No matter the circumstances, it's utterly unthinkable to align with the Basadi family and trade my son Jabba for control of Tatooine." Zorba retorted, making his way towards the center of the council hall with determination. "What are you doing, Zorba?" Jigliak's body was forcibly moved aside by Zorba, sparking his anger. I am the acting patriarch of the Desilgic family. You should step aside. Zorba, undeterred, squeezed past him, the two huts resembling massive, wriggling mounds of flesh. For the past few years, I have led our family forward, Jigliak protested, unwilling to yield. Your efforts as acting patriarch are acknowledged, but now, I return with the honor of having killed Alok. It's time for you to step down, Zorba declared. Gigliak, though furious, dared not escalate the confrontation and was pushed aside. You understand nothing. My temporary alliance with Alok was solely to protect us from the Sith's infiltration and their attacks, he exclaimed. The Sith? Their affairs do not concern me, Zorba dismissed the concern. A few years ago, the assassination attempt in Narsada, do you think it was the work of a Jedi Knight? No, it was the doing of the Sith Empire's remnants, a Sith Lord. I nearly lost my life to them, Gigliak roared, revealing, they began infiltrating our ranks through Ghidorah very early on. And what of it? You can't even manage your own affairs. Even if a Sith Lord were to come, they would have to operate under our rule in Hutt space. The Galactic Republic itself doesn't dare provoke us. Why should we fear a Sith Lord? Zorba argued, unconvinced. Exactly, and by killing Alok, you've just handed the Basadi family leadership to him on a silver platter. This poses the greatest threat to our Desilgic family, Gigliak countered. I supported Alok not to let him fall, but to prevent him from gaining power. And now, you've directly killed him. I'm aware of his cunning, but it matters not. Whoever leads the Basadi family will meet their end, Zorba stated coldly. Titan Security, the Scourge, has deep ties with the Sith Lord, Zorba. From both the Hutts and the Desilgic family's perspective, we should not engage with Lord S. Jabba, who had been silent, finally spoke up, openly criticizing his father. Fine, they've killed thousands from the Basadi family. Very well, Zorba dismissed with a wave of his hand. Then I hope you can truly defeat Alok, Jabba said before turning to leave. Jigliak, with a heavy snort, gave Zorba a cold glance, his bulky body leaving a trail of foul mucus as he exited the chamber, following Jabba. Nearly two-thirds of the family leaders left with them, but Zorba remained indifferent. His brother, Pazda Desilgic, stood by his side, along with the support Zero brought, making Zorba believe he had finally regained control over the family. However, Zorba was slightly troubled by Jabba's departure with Gigliak, viewing it as a personal affront. Despite their strained relationship, Zorba acknowledged Jabba's capabilities and bravery. On the outskirts of the Milky Way, within the Hutt space on the planet Tatooine, Tatu stood respectfully before the communicator. Respected Death Angel, Aluk Besadi Ola has ordered me to sever all ties with our external allies. What should I do? She inquired cautiously. Tatu, usually a domineering presence on Tatooine, now appeared meek and sought guidance. The holographic projection displayed Darth Marthael, clad in a black cloak, his imposing figure magnified for added intimidation. Actually, you can follow Aruk's instructions, Darth Marthael spoke with a cold authority. Cut off all ties with the Scourge, and you will truly become the supreme ruler of Tatooine. Ghidorah bowed her head in respect, acknowledging, my rise to power as the overlord of Tatooine was entirely due to your formidable strength, O great angel of death. Darth Marthael regarded Ghidorah with a sense of satisfaction. Over the past decade, his tutelage had molded Ghidorah effectively, though he pondered the adequacy of his methods. Nonetheless, Ghidorah had come to understand her reliance on the Angel of Death for her power. Her previous overconfidence, after defeating Jabba, had been swiftly curtailed by Alok Basadi's humiliating dismissal, an experience that had left a lasting impression on her. Her desire for vengeance against Alok was genuine. Darth Marthael clarified, cowardice and cruelty are not the same. Even the most seemingly weak and incompetent can become formidable when pushed to their limits. He continued, Aruk Basadi Ola, I am intimately familiar with his past and what lies ahead for him, and his son, Durga Basadi Tai, stands as the most formidable, cunning, and ruthless Hutt currently. You are no match for him. I believe that one day you will bring about Alok's downfall, Ghidorah responded with loyalty. On that day, you will lead the Basadi family, Darth Marthael enticed further. What should I do now? Ghidorah inquired, seeking guidance. As I mentioned earlier, sever your ties with the Scourge, Darth Marthael instructed calmly. Ghidorah hesitated, but I'm afraid the Scourge isn't something you control. Before she could finish, Darth Marthael interrupted. The Scourge is merely a pawn. It always has been and always will be. However, once you declare war against the Scourge, it will be Emperor Aruk's turn to honor his promise. Hey! This exchange marked a pivotal moment, setting Ghidorah on a path of confrontation and ambition under the shadowy guidance of Darth Marthael. Her journey towards power and revenge was fraught with danger and uncertainty, but the promise of becoming the matriarch of the Basadi family fueled her resolve. Vol 2, Chapter 739, The War Rages On. Ghidorah seemed to have an epiphany. Yes, didn't Aluk promise that if I cut off foreign aid, he would enable me to truly control Tatooine? I can demand money and resources from him. Since he made that promise, he must fulfill it, or he'll be breaking his word. Darth Marthael responded, Exactly. Next, the Scourge will take over the desolate ruins of Mos Espaport. You, Ghidorah, must ensure Aruk Basadi continues to funnel money and supplies into this insatiable pit. As for the Deselagic family, leave them to me. I have plans in place. Yes, I'll see it done, Ghidorah replied with deference. In Hutt space, the conflict initiated by the imposing security force began to escalate. Darth Marthael, the mastermind who had ignited the first flame in Tatooine 13 years prior, had enabled the Fourth Civilization to dominate Tatooine for a decade through Ghidorah Basadi, benefiting significantly from Alok Basadi's assistance. Throughout that decade, the Fourth Civilization profited immensely from smuggling operations, selling weapons and contraband across the galaxy via Tatooine's smuggling routes. They also acted as middlemen in the spice trade, amassing wealth. It's estimated that a third of the Fourth Civilization's fleet was acquired through these illicit dealings. Now, Darth Marthael has ignited a second, more extensive fire, engulfing the entire Hutt space in conflict. He has sparked a war between the two most powerful Hutt families, the Deselagic and the Basadi families. While the Hutts have influential figures like Jabba, Giliak, Alok, and Aluk, who strive to maintain order, there are also those like Ghidorah, Zorba, and Zero. These short-sighted individuals, driven by immediate gains or age-old vendettas, have become unwitting catalysts for the conflict, fanning the flames of war. Other prominent families, including influential Hutts like Aruba and Marlow, have opted to remain neutral, watching from the sidelines rather than intervening. The Deselagic family, already weakened by internal strife following the return of former Patriarch Zorba and Zero's ascent to power, saw Jabba and Giliak distancing themselves. Despite the division, the family's operations continued relatively unaffected, at least in the short term. With the backing of the formidable security force, Zorba led the Deselagic family in a fierce assault on the Basadi family's interests. Aluk retaliated, and the conflict spread across several planets. In Tatooine, Ghidorah Basadi's sudden betrayal of the Scourge led to an open confrontation. The Scourge boldly took control of Mos Espaport, previously ravaged by conflict, challenging Ghidorah's stronghold in Mos Eisley. As the Galactic Republic and the Confederation of Independent Systems clashed across the galaxy, Hutt space descended into turmoil. Meanwhile, the Galactic War raged on unabated. Although the Confederate West Theater, home to the Fourth Civilization, had seen a lull in activity, General Grievous once again demonstrated his military prowess. Fulfilling his promise to Count Dooku after the loss of the battleship Fang, he launched a surprise attack on the Galactic Republic's 8th Army headquarters on the planet Odor Mantle. Grievous decimated the Republic's outer defenses and wreaked havoc on several towns, prompting a strategic misjudgment by the Republic's Supreme Command, which diverted reinforcements to Odor Mantle. The ambush by General Grievous's fleet, initially positioned elsewhere, launched a sudden and devastating attack on the planets of Anos and Bakula. The assault began with a swift victory over the Galactic Republic's fleet in the airspace of Anos, followed by a direct and forceful advance onto Bakula. In response to this dire situation, the Republic urgently dispatched Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker to reinforce the defenses on Bakula. General Grievous, leading from the front, commanded the battle on the ground personally. A fierce land battle ensued on Bakula, but the conflict took an unexpected turn when the ruling government of Bakula Sud denly mutinied. The rebels aligned themselves with the Confederation of Independent Systems, plunging the planet into a simultaneous civil war. This turn of events severely impacted the forces led by Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, resulting in significant losses and forcing them to retreat. Emboldened by this victory, General Grievous intensified his offensive, achieving 6 consecutive victories within a month. His campaign, swift as lightning, shattered the Galactic Republic's northern defense line. Under his command, the droid army of the Confederation of Independent Systems executed their maneuvers with ruthless efficiency, dealing another blow to the Republic. General Grievous's large-scale raid campaign commenced on the planet Kessel and carved a path through the hyperspace lanes all the way to the planet Mon Calamari. This strategic onslaught effectively spanned from the upper right corner to the bottom of the galactic map, covering almost half of the galaxy. The campaign only halted when the losses, particularly of the Lucrehulk-class battleships, became unsustainable, and the Army's equipment fell short of the operational requirements. Had it not been for these limitations, General Grievous's original plan was even more ambitious. He aimed to breach the jurisdiction of the Republic's 18th Army and then ally with the 4th Civilization on planet Bespin, a strategy that would have marked a war spanning the entire galaxy. This relentless campaign by General Grievous not only demonstrated his strategic genius and the might of the droid army, but also left a significant portion of the galaxy in turmoil. The Galactic Republic, caught off guard, struggled to regroup and counter the swift advances of the Confederacy, marking a critical phase in the galactic conflict. Volume 2, Chapter 740, The Gears of War. The campaign initiated by General Grievous was later dubbed the Ritual Offensive by the Supreme Strategic Command of the Galactic Republic. This name was chosen because the offensive coincided with the date of the ancient Mon Calamari festival. General Grievous's relentless assault disrupted the Mon Calamari ceremonies and plunged their planet deep into separatist territory following the battle. During the offensive, the 12th Army of the Galactic Republic, known for their dark blue spears, was decimated, with almost all their jurisdictions falling into enemy hands. Had General Grievous shown any interest in their capital, Lantilias, the 12th Army might have been completely disbanded. Similarly, the 4th and 16th Armies suffered significant losses, nearly losing their capacity to re-engage in combat. The 13th Army, stationed in Hutt space, faced severe setbacks from the mobile fleet during a rescue operation and was forced to retreat. The setbacks experienced by the 13th Army exacerbated the chaos Darth Marthael was causing in Hutt space. Furthermore, the 14th Army of the Republic, under the command of Walter Tamber of the Techno-Union, was besieging the capital planet Rhynos and suffered heavy casualties. Nearly half of the 20 legions established by the Galactic Republic were rendered combat ineffective. In response, the Supreme Strategic Command of the Galactic Republic began to reorganize its forces. It ordered the Third Army, one of the legions guarding the core circle, to reinforce the planet Lantilias, transforming it into a formidable fortress. They also provided support to Governor Thoroughburn of the 7th Corps. Preparations were made for the potential withdrawal of the 14th Army, a move that faced significant opposition due to the high standing of Twi'lek Councillor Orn Frita in the Parliament. Taking advantage of the situation, Chancellor Palpatine issued war bonds, borrowing 1 trillion credits from the Interstellar Banking Association to construct more warships, strengthen the army, and expand industrial capabilities. Despite the ongoing war, the Interstellar Banking Association and the Trade Union continued to conduct business with both sides, as a significant portion of their core interests lay within the inner circles of the galaxy. This dual allegiance was the reason why the Republic had not attacked several core planets of the Trade Union and the planets Makito and Murinster, associated with the Interstellar Banking Association. The substantial war loan increased the prestige of San Hill, co-chairman of the Interstellar Banking Association, within the organization. The association's leadership viewed the loan as a dividend of the war, bolstering support for San Hill, who was a staunch advocate for the separatist cause. However, publicly, they maintained their support for the Republic, claiming that any assistance to the separatist side was merely to protect their own industries. With the influx of war loans, the Galactic Republic placed numerous orders with the Quat power dock. The interstellar dock on Quat Planet was fully operational, and the construction of thousands of Chaser-class battlecruisers began. The sight of these ships being built was a testament to the Republic's determination. Meanwhile, Lundilly Interstellar Dynamics, another major shipbuilding company, fell behind due to the short-sightedness and decision-making errors of its top management. Before the war broke out, they misjudged the situation, believing that modernization efforts would not be necessary. This miscalculation would have lasting implications for their role in the war effort. The Dreadnought-class heavy cruiser was once considered the ideal choice for the Republic's judicial fleet. Its technology was mature and cost-effective, requiring minimal crew training while providing a formidable deterrent against pirates. Moreover, its specifications complied with the Rus and Reformation's regulations. However, the mysterious disappearance of the Blade's fleet, which comprised 200 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers, raised doubts about the reliability of these warships, leading to the cancellation of nearly all orders. During this period, tensions between the Republic and several major industrial powerhouses escalated, resulting in the emergence of more advanced warships. The Hagera-class battlecruisers, Disobedient-class light destroyers, and Cheer-class assault landing ships were introduced, each boasting capabilities that far surpassed the Dreadnought. Subsequently, the introduction of the Chaser-class battlecruisers by Quat Power Dock, the Dawn Planet Coal-class battlecruisers discovered post-war, the Interstellar Banking Association's Behemoth-class battlecruisers, and the Confederate Destiny-class destroyers from the Independent Galaxy rendered the Dreadnought obsolete. These new ships, measuring between 100 to 1,300 meters, significantly outclassed the Dreadnought. Realizing their predicament too late, Lundilly Interstellar Dynamics scrambled to design a new capital ship, the 900-meter-long Victory-class Star Destroyer. However, they were already significantly behind in the arms race. When officials from the Supreme Strategic Command of the Galactic Republic learned that Lundilly's new warship would only be 900 meters in length and require 8 months to become operational, they lost interest and sought alternatives. Unlike Corellia Engineering, which maintained a steady market share in merchant ships, cargo ships, and small spacecraft, Lundilly Interstellar Dynamics struggled to compete with Quat Power Dock in the realm of large warships. Consequently, the Galactic Republic's military efforts continued to accelerate, consuming vast amounts of resources. Amidst this backdrop, the discovery of precious minerals on the remote planet Jabim drew the attention of both the Republic and the Confederation of Independent Galaxies. Jabim, an unremarkable planet in the outer rim of the Milky Way, is known for its harsh climate with only 5 clear days in a year and constant rain. The planet's atmosphere, filled with electromagnetic particles, severely disrupts the operation of spaceships and fighter jets. Due to these conditions, Jabim was largely ignored, and even when it suffered from a brain plague virus outbreak and pirate attacks around 34 BY, the Galactic Republic showed little concern. It was during this time that Claire Underwood, a rising political figure in Coruscant, established the Outer Planet Mutual Aid Fund to assist Jabim, including hiring bounty hunters to fend off the pirates. Despite its previous neglect, the recent discovery of ore veins deep within Jabim's swamps, containing key materials for the Republic's shipbuilding industry, has made the planet a point of interest. Republic officials quickly arrived, proposing an agreement to exchange cheap food and surplus products for access to Jabim's valuable mineral veins. Vol. 2, Chapter 741, The Bloody Battle of Jabim, Part 1. The Bloody Battle of Jabim. The notion of such an agreement was seen as a disgrace by the people of planet Jabim. A prominent and influential figure on the planet, Alto Stratus, stood up to voice the grievances of his people. He vehemently criticized the Galactic Republic's greed in a series of public addresses. For 3,000 years, we have been part of the Galactic Republic. We have given our loyalty, our resources, our labor. Yet now, our homeland is awash with the blood of our people, he proclaimed. Where was the Republic when Lishan pirates invaded us? Where were they when Trandoshan slave traders enslaved our people? When a brain plague decimated half of our population, where was the Republic's aid? And now, upon discovering a valuable ore deposit on Jabeam, the Republic shows up with substandard aid, rotten food and spoiled meat, under the guise of helping us mine our resources. But what do they truly want? They seek ore for war, to build their warships, to cement their dominion. But I say no. If they intend to use our ore for war, then I would rather we go to war against the Republic itself, Altostratus declared, his voice resonating with defiance. Let the Republic feel the pain of our suffering, of families torn apart, of starvation and enslavement. We will inflict upon them all the agony we have endured. Altostratus's impassioned speech successfully ignited the flames of rebellion against the Republic on Jabeam. In a bold move, he orchestrated a coup d'etat in the capital, slaughtering most of the government officials loyal to the Republic, who were on the verge of signing an exploitative agreement for ore in exchange for food. Following this, he established the Jabeam National Liberation Front, also known as the Jabeam National Army, in the coastal city of Razar. It soon became apparent that the Jabeam National Liberation Front was well-equipped and ready for battle, boasting a significant number of combat robots among their arsenal. Seizing the opportunity, Count Dooku of the Confederation of Independent Systems covertly reached out to Altostratus. The two quickly found common ground and forged a cooperation agreement. Thanks to the long-standing positive relations between Dawn Planet and Jabeam, the Fourth Group also began to support National Liberation Front by supplying them with M15 Defender assault rifles at a discounted rate. In the swampy, rain-soaked terrain of Jabeam, these super-material electromagnetic acceleration rifles proved far more effective than the DC-15 blaster rifles typically used by the Republic's clone army. The blaster rifle's energy output was significantly diminished in the stormy conditions, reducing their effectiveness. Caught unprepared, the corrupt and greedy government of Jabeam found their forces quickly overwhelmed, with their army on the brink of collapse. Altostratus swiftly took control of most of the cities on Jabeam. The remaining government forces, now under the command of Oris Gilman, were making a desperate last stand and urgently called for reinforcements from the Galactic Republic. However, the Republic was already stretched thin, reeling under General Grievous's relentless assaults. With insufficient warships available for deployment, the Supreme Strategic Command of the Republic faced a dilemma. The unique environmental conditions of Jabeam made it impractical for fighter jets and warships to engage in combat within the atmosphere, and even orbital bombing was deemed too imprecise, risking mass civilian casualties. Consequently, the Republic decided that the conflict on Jabeam would be primarily a ground war. To this end, they resolved to dispatch additional Jedi Knights to support the beleaguered forces on the planet, hoping to turn the tide in this bloody conflict. To participate in the battle after thorough research, the Galactic Republic dispatched a formidable team of 40 individuals, including Jedi Master Cyrus Nokuna, Leska, and other Jedi Knights and apprentices. This significant deployment aimed to make a substantial impact on the complex political landscape of planet Jabeam. The strategy was twofold. If possible, to capture Altostratus through a targeted strike, potentially ending the conflict without widespread fighting. Failing that, the presence of numerous Jedi Knights would swiftly tip the scales of battle in their favor. The Supreme Strategic Command's decision also considered the challenging terrain of Jabeam, with its mud and swamps, rendering their superior armored forces less effective, hence the increased reliance on Jedi operatives. However, upon the arrival of the Galactic Republic's forces, including 3 cheerleader-class assault landing ships and a clone army of nearly 21,000, the situation on Jabeam was far grimmer than anticipated. The planet's government forces were found to be severely lacking in combat effectiveness, with outdated equipment and low morale. In stark contrast, the Jabeam National Liberation Front, under Altostratus's leadership, and with the backing of Count Dooku and the Fourth Group, was well-equipped and highly motivated. Their arsenal included 15 Defender assault rifles, hermetically sealed combat suits, and parameter-accelerated live-fire weapons, which allowed them to excel in the planet's challenging environment. Compounding the Republic's difficulties, the civilians of Jabeam harbored a deep-seated hatred for the Galactic Republic. This animosity was so intense that the Republic forces could not even safely ask for directions without risking being led into enemy traps. Alto Stratus, a force-sensitive individual lacking formal training but gifted with keen intuition, robust physicality, and adept combat skills, proved to be a formidable opponent. Several attempts by the Jedi Knights to eliminate him ended in failure, resulting in the deaths of 2 Jedi Knights and an apprentice. These losses marked a transition to a more brutal phase of the conflict. The battle between the Jabim National Army and the Republic forces was fierce, with engagements across every inch of swamp and mud. The Jabim forces, undeterred by the threat of death, displayed remarkable bravery, even charging at the Republic's AETE walkers with proton bombs and suicide attacks. Under Alto's command, they launched relentless assaults on the clone army, leaving behind numerous casualties, yet never wavering in their resolve. As the situation on Jabim deteriorated, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, fresh from a defeat on the planet Bakula, were redeployed to the conflict. Their arrival coincided with reinforcements for the opposition. Count Dooku's Dark Apprentice, Asajj Ventress, led 10,000 advanced A-Series amphibious combat robots into the fray. Additionally, the Dawn planet dispatched an expeditionary force, including 1,000 Salarians skilled in amphibious warfare and 15,000 Gnolls, forming a formidable army that immediately engaged in battle. The Salarians also provided combat advisors to bolster Alto's forces. Meanwhile, the Dark Jedi Knight Ulu Ulix, having succumbed to the temptations of Darth Malthael, betrayed the Jedi Order to join the conflict, further complicating the battle for the Galactic Republic. Vol. 2, Chapter 742, Super Raiders, Star Wars: The Fourth Scourge. In the inner ring of the Milky Way lies Manan, an isolated ocean planet renowned for its production of a drug called Corto during the Sith War thousands of years ago. The planet became a fierce battleground between the Galactic Republic and the Sith Empire, suffering severe damage in the process. However, with the later discovery of Bacta liquid, Corto's less effective predecessor was abandoned, and the Republic's pharmaceutical companies shifted their focus to planets that produced Bacta liquid. Consequently, Manan was forsaken, and its indigenous people, the Selkoth, retreated to an ancient city deep within the ocean to isolate themselves from the galaxy. Even now, the space surrounding Manan is littered with relics from wars fought millennia ago, the ruins of battleships, remnants of space stations, and even desiccated corpses preserved in the vacuum of space. Due to its location deep within the Republic's inner ring and the absence of major hyperspace routes, Manan sees little traffic, spared the attention of scavengers unwilling to navigate the Republic outposts and the incessant interrogations of border guards in the inner rim. Yet, on this particular day, Manan witnessed an unusual activity. A massive battleship materialized in space with a brilliant flash of white light. The battleship's exterior, devoid of paint, showcased the raw metallic color of its armor, its rough craftsmanship lending it an industrial, unwelcoming aura. Its size was truly formidable, stretching 14,100 meters in length, making it the largest warship in the galaxy, dwarfing even the old command-class dreadnoughts of the Republic Navy, which were 8,000 meters long. By comparison, it was estimated that a command-class dreadnought could only withstand an encounter with this Titan for about 61 seconds, 60 of which would be spent recharging. This behemoth was none other than the Ragnarov-class Titan battleship, the Plague, the most powerful warship of the Fourth Civilization. On its densely packed bridge, Admiral Severance Tan of the Fourth Civilization sat in the captain's chair, visibly fatigued. A medical robot attended to her, gently massaging her with a mechanical arm and applying microcurrents to stimulate and soothe her weary body. Darth Lilim, standing near the console, observed the sensor's feedback and chuckled mischievously. What a delightful coincidence. The area is littered with the wreckage of warships. Perfect. Dispatch an engineering ship to collect that metallic debris immediately. Yes, responded an adjutant, saluting promptly. According to our database, these wrecks are remnants of the Sith Empire's flagship from the war thousands of years ago, another officer reported. Darth Lilim's expression turned icy. Excellent. Let the foolish Sith of the past witness the downfall of the Republic. Process these wreckages into artillery shells and store them. Send out a signal. We must complete our resupply within 3 days. Yes, came the unified response. Darth Lilim then sauntered over to Severance Tan, her gaze cool. I must admit, I'm impressed that you managed to bring the plague into the Milky Way's inner ring. Severance Tan opened her eyes and replied with a cold snort. Given your limited understanding, it's no surprise you can't grasp how I navigated through the unpredictable hyperspace routes. Darth Lilim curled her lips, a hint of condescension in her posture as she stood before Severance Tan. This time, your efforts have indeed furthered our master's grand scheme. However, I must caution you that hyperspace is far from empty, she said, her voice carrying a mix of indifference and warning. Employing the Force to forge a direct path through hyperspace, as you have done, risks attracting the attention of unknown entities. Such practices are strictly taboo among the Jedi Knights, forbidden to all but Master Kolis Sabaoth. For your own longevity and to better serve our master, I advise you to refrain from such actions. You're not, Hing, but a fallen Jedi apprentice. Don't presume to lecture me like a master. Focus on your own shortcomings. Fool, Severance Tan snapped back. Without another word, Darth Lilim turned and departed. The Titan battleship Plague lay concealed within the war-torn ruins on the planet Manon, a mere 4 seconds away from their target, the planet Cato Nemoidia. Despite the proximity, no direct hyperspace route connected the two planets. The only option, aside from navigating established hyperspace lanes, was the method Severance Tan had previously employed, using the Force to traverse hyperspace. The engineering crews aboard the Plague sprang into action, gathering the surrounding debris to be processed into massive projectiles by the ship's smelter. These projectiles, intended for the main guns, varied in size but collectively weighed millions of tons. Due to the need for utmost secrecy and the challenges of navigating complex hyperspace tributaries, the Plague had not been equipped with its 500-meter caliber supercannon's standard projectiles. Instead, it carried a mix of smaller, subcaliber, and scattering projectiles, significantly impacting the ship's mobility. Darth Plagueis had once remarked that the Ragnarov-class Titan battleship, such as the Plague, was not an advanced warship, but a doomsday weapon forged in desperation by a civilization on the brink of extinction. Its formidable firepower came at the expense of nearly everything else, showcasing the pinnacle of shipbuilding technology only in the materials, structural, and energy sciences that went into its construction. Such a vessel could only have been realized through the tireless efforts of countless scientists and the harsh lessons of numerous conflicts. This is why Darth Plagueis chose not to associate the battleship's blueprints with the planet Dawn, instead attributing its creation to an ancient civilization. After several standard hours, robotic-controlled transport ships arrived at Manon, delivering various supplies to the Plague. To avoid detection, these ships remained hidden after their arrival, blending in with the surroundings. Note, the promotional website links and instructions for bookmarking and sharing have been omitted for a more immersive narrative experience. Vol 2, Chapter 743, Battle Plan. Qijian, Chief of Staff of the Fourth Civilization, reporting to the Governor. Qijian stood erect in front of the Governor's office, his voice resonant. Dressed in the light gray uniform of the staff, the epaulets on his shoulders denoted his rank, Admiral. Achieving such a rank before the age of 40 was nothing short of miraculous. This was partly due to the rapid expansion of the Fourth Civilization and partly a testament to Qijian's 13 years of diligent service, advancing step by step. Originally awakened by the mastermind as one of the civil servants, Qijian was appointed as the temporary chief of staff by Tang Xiao, humorously citing his interesting name. Despite being an ordinary individual with no significant achievements prior, Qijian's cautious yet diligent approach to his duties rarely saw him err, earning him a stable position within the burgeoning Fourth Civilization. Now, with visible signs of aging and a physique slightly altered by long hours at the desk, Qijian's eyes still sparkled with an undiminished zeal and ambition. As the office door silently swung open, Qijian straightened his attire and stepped inside. Tang Xiao sat behind his desk, hands clasped under his chin, eyeing Qijian with a blank expression. You wouldn't interrupt my meditation without good reason, Qijian. So let's hear it, Tang Xiao stated flatly. Qijian, though slightly unnerved, maintained his composure. Lord Governor, the General Staff of the Fourth Civilization, the Supreme Combat Command, and Fleet A's Commander-in-Chief, Admiral Matt Horner, have devised a combat plan for your consideration. Proceed, Tang Xiao prompted. Qijian outlined the strategy. The plan targets the planet Terminus, with our forces currently blocking the Jiwan people's Yag-Dur planet and the Grand people's Golden Rock planet. We've halted the advance of the 20th Republic Army. Meanwhile, Admiral Severance Tan's B Fleet is engaging the 18th Republic Army on Glenson planet. Thus, targeting Terminus presents a viable opportunity to advance our position. Tang Xiao raised two concerns, his expression unchanging. Firstly, Terminus is a neutral planet. Our previous attack on the neutral planet Bespin was a calculated risk. Repeating such actions could jeopardize the Confederation of Independent Systems' political standing and expansion efforts. Qijian responded, while Terminus claims neutrality, their political leanings are closer to the Galactic Republic, evidenced by their substantial material and supply contributions to the Republic's 18th Army. By halting these supplies, we can compel their allegiance. Additionally, we've covertly introduced prohibited stimulants and spices onto Terminus through Mr. Tang Xiao. This sets the stage for a public incident, providing us with a pretext for military intervention, regardless of whether the Galactic Republic or we act first. Acknowledging the explanation, Tang Xiao posed his second question. The hyperspace route from Terminus to our Bespin planet base is notoriously unstable, complicating logistics. Moreover, the route from Terminus to the 18th Army's headquarters on Eliadu traverses the Corellian trade route, one of the galaxy's busiest. How do we propose to engage the Galactic Republic in a significant battle given our fleet's current disadvantage? Qijian confidently replied, our recent offensive has significantly weakened the Republic's 18th Army, creating an opportunity for us to strike. By leveraging our strategic advantages and employing guerrilla tactics, we can mitigate the logistical challenges and capitalize on the element of surprise. Furthermore, our intelligence network has identified potential weaknesses in the Republic's supply lines, which we can exploit to disrupt their operations and gain the upper hand. Tang Xiao, finally showing a hint of approval, nodded. Very well, Qijian. Your plan demonstrates foresight and ingenuity. Prepare the necessary arrangements and keep me updated on our progress. As Qijian exited the office, a sense of determination filled him. The battle for Terminus would not only test their military prowess, but also their ability to navigate the complex political landscape of the galaxy. The recent offensive, led by General Grievous, has nearly compromised the entire defense line of the Galactic Republic, placing immense pressure on the 18th Army. Following a series of battles, the adjacent 17th and 15th Corps have braced themselves for the next phase of General Grievous's assault, leaving the 18th Corps momentarily isolated. Moreover, the governor of the 18th Army, Wilhoff Tarkin, has been gravely injured due to an assassination attempt by our agents, rendering him incapable of command. This presents us with a prime opportunity to launch an offensive. Should we let this moment slip by, the Republic might regain its strength through its industrial capabilities, potentially putting us at a disadvantage. Tang Xiao, with a furrowed brow, harbored reservations about this battle. The galaxy was engulfed in turmoil, its fate obscured even to beings as powerful as Master Yoda, who found the future inscrutable. Tang Xiao's insight into the galaxy's future stemmed not from the Force, but from his knowledge of the story's eventual trajectory. However, Qijian's proposed battle ventured beyond the confines of the original narrative, leaving Tang Xiao to rely solely on his intuition and judgment, and his intuition signaled caution. Reject the proposal? Qijian's argument held merit. The 18th Army's blockade of the 4th sector was a significant obstacle that needed to be overcome. Yet, the territories under the control of the Fourth Civilization were situated in remote areas, characterized by a labyrinth of hyperspace routes that posed challenges for the mobilization of large fleet operations. Qijian responded with confidence, reiterating the strategic advantage of acting now. The recent assaults by General Grievous have nearly breached the Republic's defense line, significantly straining the 18th Army. With the adjacent 17th and 15th Corps bracing for further offensives, the 18th Corps finds itself in temporary isolation. The incapacitation of Governor Tarkin, following our successful assassination attempt, leaves a void in their leadership. This moment is ripe for us to seize the initiative. If we hesitate, allowing the Republic to recuperate, we might find ourselves overwhelmed by their renewed strength. Tang Xiao's unease persisted, despite understanding the logic behind Qijian's argument. The galaxy's current state of chaos, compounded by the unpredictability of the Force, made the future uncertain. Tang Xiao's advantage lay in his knowledge of the story's direction, yet Qijian's plan ventured into uncharted territory, compelling Tang Xiao to trust his instincts, which suggested caution. The dilemma was clear: proceed with Qijian's logical yet risky strategy, or heed Tang Xiao's apprehensions and seek an alternative path. The control zones of the Fourth Civilization, with their complex hyperspace networks, presented logistical challenges for large-scale fleet operations, adding another layer of complexity to the decision-making process.